Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Recency Biased Radio, your number one source for everything there is rants concerning Big Brother Canada 7. I am your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game, Ultra, Smith Dog Trio, Rant God, Thanos, all of the above on that ISAT test and that ACT. You know what it is. Shout outs to the mighty mods. I'm finna unleash tonight. This is gonna be a legendary rant. It is entitled Anti-Climactic Tactics because this was one of the worst double eviction episodes I can remember in Big Brother history. Fuck Canada. Globally, in the history of double evictions, this had to have been one of the worst, if not the worst. Okay, we're coming into this, and see, there's a lot of stuff I got to get into tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Estefania has completely canceled her own self. She's completely thrown her game out the window. Everyone looks at her as the next Brittany Haynes now. She's canceled. Kiki, I feel so bad for her because here she is giving her all into an alliance with Esty, and Esty would rather give her all into the alliance with Dane. We're going to get into that later, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to also get into Eddie, the guy who got completely railroaded tonight. Completely railroaded. Adam had the opportunity to make a game-winning play. He decided not to do it. We're going to break down why that is. And we're also going to break down all the feeds this week. And to further clarify why Eddie was the target tonight, I will break down how everyone in this house uses him as the scapegoat target. Whenever they're in passing conversation with someone that isn't on their side necessarily, people always say, who would you target if you were in power? I'd target Eddie. Eddie was the throwaway, basically. He was the throwaway target. He was the guy you could tell everyone you wanted out, and it would make everyone stop asking you questions about who you wanted to target. So understand, they made this easy for Adam to do because everyone was such a coward in the social game this week. We're going to break that down. We're going to break down more of Chelsea, playing the victim card and basically falling on her face. I prepared y'all really well for Wednesday, didn't I? We're going to break down Wednesday's episode and tonight's episode. And towards the end, ladies and gentlemen, I will be answering questions. So this is a jam-packed Thursday night episode. And tomorrow's Thanos' birthday, ladies and gentlemen. So I got to give y'all something really good worth remembering, okay? So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do here tonight, I'm going to break down Wednesday's episode first. Going to break down all of the feeds, then break down tonight's episode, then go into questions. I think chronologically, it works this way. So special shout outs to everyone who is watching this live. Special shout outs to everyone who is watching this on demand. Thanos is about to be unleashed. So thank you all for being here tonight. Now let's get into the nitty gritty, coach, because I'm pissed off and I would love to discuss tonight's episode, but without the proper context to explain my outrage and most of your outrage if you are here, then it's pretty much falling on deaf ears. Because what I understand is there's a lot of casual fans that aren't privy to the feeds and they feel completely left out of the loop because they were blindsided tonight by why Eddie went home. It doesn't make sense in the edit for why Eddie went home because they haven't been telling a 360-degree view edit. They haven't been telling that narrative up until now. They've just been kissing selected people's ass, and then all the people on the outskirts, the outsiders, if you will, all of them are basically scavengers. They have to get whatever TV time they can settle for. So I'm going to break down all of this tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, and only the way that Recency Bias Radio knows how. So let's start now. Let's not waste any more time. Okay, so the first thing I want to mention on Wednesday's episode, did you all notice how pro-Chelsea the intro was yet again? The same pro Chelsea intro from last week, basically, when she was HOH. And did any of y'all peep the announcer guy? And see, I actually had a video that I put on Twitter to let people know I will be ranting tonight earlier talking about this. The announcer guys basically said that Chelsea counterpunched Adam by trying to get a girls' alliance together. Now, here's my question, y'all. How could this possibly be a counterpunch if she never landed the motherfucker? Can we be honest here? How can I say I have an Infinity Stone if I didn't beat you yet? You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But this is, once again, more proof that production will give Chelsea credit for a bad move and make it seem like a good one to the casual fan base. Now, let's continue. Why are they not mentioning the obvious poor gameplay Chelsea has displayed or alluded to its existence in the intro, but they have enough time to once again give her credit for a move that didn't deserve that much of a spotlight in the first place? They have yet to come up with a joke as personal as the psychic pun, and anyone with a brain can tell that they rock with Chelsea a little too much for comfort, okay? The reason I criticize production, ladies and gentlemen, is because they are supposed to be unbiased to allow the players to prove they are worth their own hype, okay? But by selectively hyping poor gameplay, production is ruining the prestige of their own product. Let's talk about it tonight, Smitty. My critiques are for the better good of all big brothers globally. You might not agree with my tactics, but I think we all can agree that the results that I desire, any super fan can be okay with. Unless they're too biased, of course, of one player or one alliance, then they become a bit toxic, like the players of this season have become a bit toxic. But you get where I'm coming from. My tactics are necessary because without my tactics, we're going to get these anti-climactic tactics all the fucking time. All the time. If there wasn't for people like me who call them out on their bullshit, we probably wouldn't even got the mark scene in tonight's edit, which fell completely out of place after we figured out what the results of the double was. We're going to get into that in a second, too. Don't worry. But let's keep going on Wednesday's episode, why don't we? Now, peep game on them showing Chelsea saying she wants to go now as she walked out of the room with Dane and the HOH. This was Chelsea about to self-evict, ladies and gentlemen. This was the moment I was telling you about. But see, production was real sneaky because they snuck in that quote as she was walking out the door, which didn't imply she wanted to quit. It just implied she wanted to leave the room. But she said it several other times, like she wanted to just straight up quit the game. But once again, to protect her, they didn't show that much, okay? This was Chelsea about to self-evict, but Kira proved why they will be getting my Most Improved Player of the Week award. Yes, that is right. I am giving it to the non-binary blindsider. We might not approve of some of her tactics, of their tactics, excuse me. We might not approve of the constant harassment, the constant following of people around the house. But at the end of the day, this was the person all of you Chelsea fans said deserved to stay over Mackie. So you got to deal with this nuisance as well. See, at least we saw the potential of them being a nuisance early and said, are you guys idiots? Keep fucking Mackie, right? But y'all wanted to be so right about everything that y'all said, no, Mackie should go because he made a mistake. Meanwhile, Chelsea has made 100 mistakes since basically last Thursday. Meanwhile, you guys are saying, give her another chance. Kira should leave instead. Nah, bruh. Nah, you can't have it both ways, coach. And see, I just hold people accountable. That's just what I do. And that's why they're mad. But let's continue. All right, let's continue, man. I'm feeling real sinister tonight. We gonna talk about a lot of stuff tonight, all right? Then for Kira to follow Adam, running to Dane. Oh, my fault. I skipped some things. Okay. Kira proved why they will be getting my Most Improved Player of the Week award by applying pressure to Adam in the moment to show the women he is closer to Dane than all of them. Then for Kira to follow Adam running to Dane was even more genius, in my opinion. Hearing Adam say, they just tested me, was hilarious, if I'm being honest. I mean, it just sounded funny to come from his mouth. They just tested me, okay? Kira was very impressive in this scene because they showed they have more passion for this game in 5 minutes of an edit than Chelsea has displayed in a pro-Chelsea edit for the last 4 weeks. Oh, shit. Oh, scalding with the tea. Scalding. That birthday smoke, coach. Let's continue. I like the idea of Eddie and Damien, of the Eddie and Damien scene, because they both are truly outsiders in this game. I really like the fact that Eddie called him the OG Canadian. You know, there was so much potential with these two. There was so much potential. And the thing that bothers me the most about Esty, which we'll get into later, she has gone out of her way to just discard, you know, just completely discard Eddie's game. You know, she views him, and I'm disappointed in Kiki as well, because I thought the Asian connection would allow them to have some type of a common ground. I guess I was wrong there. But at the end of the day, he was clearly a number that could have benefited their game specifically. But they were so busy being up, let's be real, Dane's wrecked him this week, that they didn't see the forest from the trees either. See, I call out everybody when they fuck up. You know, I'm not this person, once my fave does it, oh no, it's okay now. No. That's not how I gets down, baby. Well, anyway, so like I was mentioning, what I don't understand is how Kiki couldn't find a way to work with Eddie. The Youngbloods want Damien at the end, but not Eddie. And I don't get this. I just don't understand it. It must be because he's smarter than he leads on and no one wants to get yoked. But without Eddie as a number down the line, these girls can't possibly flip and beat the men. It was good to see Corey admit through confessional that she trusts Damien the most. You don't even hear her mentioning trusting Anthony, though. Interesting. Isn't it interesting how Anthony gets no credit for none of the game he is playing? I mean, people are saying, oh, well, he's just playing a boring game, Dave. Well, that's not true. And I've held Anthony accountable for him being a sellout, but I also got to give him credit where it is due. He is playing a fantastic social game, and yet he is getting absolutely no visibility on television, absolutely none. In fact, they can find the time to fit in Mark talking about, oh, I might want to target Dane. Y'all can fit that shit in, but you can't fit in Anthony, the guy who talked Chelsea into doing the speech against Dane in the first place at the veto ceremony. I mean, there was no mention of any meeting during this edit. And that's because Chelsea never did the meeting. And we're going to break that down. Ladies and gentlemen, since Tuesday afternoon, Chelsea has been threatening to do a meeting to expose the men's alliance. She's out the game now, still didn't do it. Total flop. All the time I was calling her CTC, Chelsea the coward. Everyone telling me, oh, Dave, you're too hard on her. And now she has proven to all of us just what little she is capable of doing. I mean, even her final speech tonight was soft. It was soft. Like, I mean, I just got to be honest. All right. But yeah, let's continue, man. I don't want to stay on one thing. There's a lot of notes here, ladies and gentlemen. So let's continue, okay? But yeah, so like I said, it was good for Corey to admit through confessional that she trusts Damian, but she didn't mention trust in Anthony, which is interesting because I've been trying to tell people she's closer to Damian than she is to Anthony. But a lot of people perceive Anthony as pulling her over to his side to be his +1. But I think tonight proves she is a loyal number still for Damian, which is good because there ain't that many people likable left to root for, Coach. The only people, see, I can find a way to root for Dane because he's playing the game and he's playing it hard. I can root for that to a degree. I don't rock with lying on a death like that, but I can at least tip my hat to him for playing well. Now on Este's side, I can't give her no credit. I can give Dane credit because he obviously misted her to make a mistake, which we'll get into later. But Dane is playing a fantastic game. I got to give him credit where it is due. But at the end of the day, Adam had the opportunity here to straight up cut his throat. And he said, let me throw up Kiki next to Eddie. What kind of flop shit is this? But see, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, okay? I really don't want to because this context is very important. So let me continue, all right? Y'all know me. I can freestyle at any moment, Coach, all right? So anyway, like I was saying, she's not even mentioning being close to Anthony, letting me know she could be making Anthony think he's manipulating her. Chelsea sees Corey go into the HOH and says she's not here to play Dane's game. But sending Kaylin home gave Dane all of this power over the other side. Someone needs to let Chelsea know that. So yeah, she wasn't playing Dane's game, but playing Adam's game made her accidentally help Dane's game, so she's not being honest with the audience here. Corey is showing why it's good to win comps if you aren't a target, because it allows you to be privy to key information. I mentioned this in the last rant, so it just shows I have a good read on Corey's game right now. She's still in the best position, even though I still think Kira is the most improved player of the week. Now, notice Chelsea saying if she plays dirty and goes home, she doesn't want to look like a bitch. If you ask me, it's a bit too late for all of that, CTC. It's like she's trying to atone for doing Kaylin dirty by not throwing more people under the bus, but the real can see she's only doing this because production tipped her off to not being liked by the public. This is a contributing factor as to why she's doing this. Her speech towards Dane was terrible, but of course the edit backs it up by showing Adam say, that there's Chelsea Bird. But this is production once again giving Chelsea credit for yet another move that was stupid to do. Now let's get into Tuesday's feeds. This is going to be the entire feeds portion. This will provide all of the backup I need to prove to you why tonight's double eviction was completely anticlimactic, ladies and gentlemen. And if Kiki would have left tonight instead of Eddie, I mean, at the end of the day, man, Este probably would have never been forgiven again. I got to be honest with you. But let me provide said context to make you all more privy as to why Este is being disliked so universally. Let's continue. Now, at the time when I was taking these notes, I actually separated this part as the pre-house meeting. Now, understand, I watched feeds all day Tuesday, expecting Chelsea to finally grow a pair of ovaries, okay? I was waiting, right? Like, when I tell you, I was like, you know what? I could do that later. All right, I can't miss this meeting because it's really hard to kind of flash back. I mean, feeds on certain cams, you can flash back like 24 hours ago. On other ones, you can only go like an hour ago. On other ones, you can go like 4 hours ago. So it's really advantageous for you to see it in the moment. That way you can keep rewinding it to get your notes together. Well, anyway, so like I said, this is Tuesday's feeds. Chelsea is avoiding Kira like the plague and is threatening to do a house meeting to expose Adam and Sam once and for all. This is great feeds because after applying makeup, Chelsea goes to speak to Anthony and Damien for advice on what to do. Anthony is kissing her ass, giving her a pep talk to cause more drama because he wants more chaos, and he likes to test his gameplay by trying to see if he can make a last-minute flip of the vote happen. He did the same very thing when Kaylin left. He tried to force a last-second flip to get out Damien. And at the end of the day, my problem with him still stands that you shouldn't have had to wait to the last second to force that flip. You should have had her back from start to finish. That way you wouldn't have to wait for the last second, which makes me think your intentions weren't all good and you didn't really want to save her. You just wanted to appear like you were trying to save her. I got to be honest there. Now let's continue. As Chelsea is expressing her frustrations of feeling like she's playing with a hand tied behind her back because her allies have betrayed her to the point where she's at a fork in the road, either she throws them under the bus to maybe save her game, or she falls on her sword to not snitch on Saddam, and she goes home unanimously anyway, which she did tonight. Kira comes in to spy, which ruins their conversation. They begin to discuss how hard the game is, and Kira jokingly says it's been easy so far for them. That's when Chelsea's fangs start to come out. All right, now let me be real here. Chelsea out of nowhere said, "Why don't you ease your way out the house on Thursday then?" I'm like, damn. Like I felt like Smokey from Friday. Damn. But see, this is my problem. She got all of this hot shit to say to someone she knows that unconditionally loves her and that would drink her bathwater and that's always gonna walk right back to her. So does it really take any heart, any courage to say this to Kira? You know she ain't gonna really come back at you like that. You feel me? So I felt like this was a form of bullying, in my opinion. Now let's continue. That smart remark told Kira all she needed to know to get out of there. After she leaves, Chelsea continues talking with the boys until Eddie walks in. Then she decides to leave for good to be to herself. As this is happening, Saddam are arguing because each time Adam talks alone with the guy, Sam asks him what they're talking about. This leads to Adam being quite defensive as he tells her to start trusting him more. Adam walks away and Sam is to herself staring into space while drinking coffee. Chelsea gets time to speak to Anthony alone in the HOH room and is mad she wasted so much time with Kira earlier in the week when she could have been campaigning for herself this entire time. But it's interesting because Anthony is bashing Damien now, but tried to force a flip at the last second last week to get Damien out. And now this week is trying to help Chelsea, but he clearly has a closer relationship with Kira. So I expect him to bash Chelsea next week as well, LOL. I think he's playing Chelsea a lot here. Okay. And see, that's the thing. Anthony has a good way of remembering certain personal conversation he had with you. And whenever he tries to get you, and whenever you try to get him to reveal some of his cards, he almost reverts back to discussing your personal life with you to get you to stop talking about him. And it's very, very smart. If I had to coin a name for it, I would like to call it the reflection strategy. Where everyone else wants to project their problems on you, Anthony likes to remind you of your own life as you try to get him, as you try to cross-examine him to figure out where his mind is at. Now, let me continue. Chelsea basically admits to being jealous that he was speaking to Corey more than her last week. Anthony gives Chelsea a wake-up call. Why would anybody keep Chelsea over somebody that would do anything for her in this game? Chelsea's strategy is begging people to let her play the game without a shadow. So she's implying Kira is her unwanted shadow here. But remember, she decided to keep a shadow over Mackie, who would have overshadowed, no pun intended, all the women's games and been a shield for all of the women. So once again, this campaign strategy is straight trash. And that's why I didn't make it on DV, if I'm being honest. Let me continue. To suggest she deserves a second chance at this season when she was the one deciding who didn't deserve to make jury last week is nonsensical. She doesn't even see how entitled she comes off to other people, especially to Damien, who she vented to earlier with Anthony. She threw Damien up because it was the easy move to make, and now she's salty because it's the easy move to make for her to go home. She's a flat-out tone-deaf hypocrite in this game. Anthony brings up Kaylin, and now Chelsea overreacts to Kaylin telling everyone, my fault. Anthony brings up Kaylin and how Chelsea overreacted to Kaylin telling everyone but their group about her life. Chelsea overreacted to that because she's just as much a control freak as Adam and Sam are. But what she keeps forgetting is that Kira was with them. Kira also had to deal with this as well. But Chelsea is so selfish, she thinks Kira isn't playing fairly because she won't allow Chelsea the space to campaign. Actually, I think that's great strategy, not allowing you to think. That's a form of the game. There is no rule where I have to give you 3 feet, no pressure. We ain't playing hard top basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, take it easy on me. You know what I'm saying? Can we call fouls? Like, she's on that shit, coach. I'm being honest. Now let's continue. Chelsea asks Anthony what he would do in her position, and Anthony tells her nothing to protect his game. Very wise of you, Anthony. But what he does do is tell her to do the house meeting because it's what changed people's opinion of Kaylin. Besides the 4 who weren't there, of course, which included Chelsea, Kira, and Saddam. But her doing this will only be further proof Chelsea can't make a single move in this game unless she's copying somebody else's game. This will just be her further copying Kaylin's game to try to course correct the mistake of the Mackey vote, especially if she does it to bash Saddam. This will only help Kira's game for weeks to come as long as she doesn't blow up. And in my opinion, there is nothing Chelsea can do to blow up anyone's games that would make her an asset to anybody in the game. Because if she's willing to go out throwing her allies under the bus, Chelsea would do the same thing again. Chelsea was throwing Kira under the bus to remain loyal to Sam and Adam. So she was never truly a loyal player because the one person who was more loyal to her than Sam and Adam, she never was loyal to herself. Now let's continue. Anthony brings up how stupid it was for her to come after Dane during that speech. I couldn't agree more. It was another cowardice approach. But her being so far up Adam's rectum is the reason she chose to be mad at Dane. She didn't ask Anthony who he wants to work with going forward, and Anthony wisely deflects that to recenter the conversation back on Chelsea, which is what I mentioned earlier that Anthony is really good at, the reflection technique. It shouldn't matter who Anthony would work with if she's only worried about her game. But see, this makes me think she might have been trying to gather dirt on Anthony too for the meeting, but he wouldn't give her any ammunition. But you can clearly tell Anthony has some sort of a crush on Chelsea because of the way he gasses her up by saying her whole name and mentioning her being a valedictorian is all him putting her on this mental pedestal. But why would Anthony actually want someone this smart to stay when they're already 1 foot out? He doesn't want her to really stay, but I do think he wants Sam to be the consensus next boot for the double, so this meeting helps all the men except Adam dodge the double eviction. But isn't it so funny how the women who use so many microaggressions, the woman who used so many microaggressions to get out the only black woman now has to rely on a black man to save her game? The same black man she assumed was wrapped around Kaylin's finger? Truth is, she never got close to Anthony because she stereotyped him from Jump Street. It had nothing to do with him getting close to Corey. It had everything to do with her being scared to talk game with people who she perceived to be close to Kaylin, like Eddie and Anthony. Dane and Mark are discussing the likelihood of a house meeting saving someone's game, and both agree it only worked for Dan with the funeral. Dane in this conversation also admitted to knowing Tamar won Celebrity Big Brother. I told y'all they knew about it. Everyone said, no, they were in sequester before that season ended. They knew, and that's why they went after Kaylin, confirming that these house guests knew a black woman won North American Big Brother, which further tells me they were suspicious of Kaylin as soon as they saw her. And that reveal of her being a psychic sealed her fate because of Tamar's impact on the game. This conversation happened around 1 p.m. Canada time on Tuesday. If any of y'all want proof, check it out right there. Dane says it, ladies and gentlemen. I believe he's talking to Mark about past players who have done meetings to win the game. And I believe they were by the hot tub as well. I think that's the best way I can describe that for you so you can find it. Now, Dane on purpose, my fault. Chelsea walks in and things get a bit messy because they start discussing former house guests they would date. This leads to Dane bragging about meeting Kayla, and he also mentions how she is no longer with Derek. This leads to production interfering with a remember Canada is watching, so they stopped. As this is happening, Anthony has found his way to Leon's office to discuss the game with Kira, who I believe he trusts more than Chelsea. After all, he was the one telling Adam about Chelsea starting that girls' alliance, and he was the one that told him Chelsea and Sam wanted to take him to Final 3. Kira tells Anthony they will fight to stay no matter what, and their eyes have been fully opened by Chelsea's evil, manipulative ways. The apex predator threat I saw pregame is starting to wake up, and this is good. Kira is concerned Chelsea will use lies to get votes. Isn't it interesting how both these women wanted Kaylin gone for using the truth, but both of them are now more worried about who lies? This shows you why the excuse to target Kaylin was so Bush League in the first place. And let's be real, it was the excuse they used to not make it seem like race played a factor, even though it clearly did. Anthony tells Kira he is proud of her growth in the game and sends her off to go get the job done. So Anthony on one side is manipulating Chelsea to do a house meeting, and then on the other side, he is talking Kira into fighting to stay. He's setting all the live feeders up perfectly for entertainment if this meeting happens, and we appreciated Anthony, but it never happened, which was well, I guess that was a buzzkill in its own right? He's told both women to use the truth, not lies. So it'll be interesting to see what Kira does if the meeting happens and Chelsea begins to lie. Kira starts a new campaign strategy and approaches the Youngbloods first. They tell them about how they aren't loyal to Adam at all. In fact, they always got the impression Adam was waiting for them to leave rooms before sharing key information, telling the Youngbloods that Kira was obviously on the outs, which they already knew, but they didn't know the degree of separation yet. Them hearing this should let them know Kira is a live number to recruit on their side after Chelsea leaves. Everyone is still confused about Chelsea's target, even after she said she'd go after Dane during the veto ceremony. And that just goes to show, no one really believes your empty threats, Chelsea, to the point where you can actually call out Dane completely and they still don't know where you stand. I mean, that's a testament to how wishy-washy and waffly you are as a player. Now let's continue. Kira is beginning to use her brain more than her heart, and they are saying all the right things. Kira mentions how they don't trust Adam at all, and Chelsea is lying about wanting Adam out now because she will just run back to him and she stays over Kira. The Youngbloods agree she will work with Adam again as well, showing me all the women view Chelsea as a pathological liar after last week. The Youngbloods ask Kira if Kiki was the real target before Kaylin, and Kira tells them the truth. It was always a plan to backdoor Kaylin. But Chelsea this week still regrets keeping Kiki over Kaylin because of how much power she gave Dane in getting out Kaylin. So technically it's a half-truth because although Kira wasn't lying, she also doesn't know all of Chelsea's evil ways because Chelsea was always manipulating her emotions. Let's continue. Kira says something very key here. They say once someone knows you don't trust them, they turn on you. And that's exactly who Adam is. When he thinks he's playing you, he loves you. When he doesn't, he doesn't. And that kind of is describing Chelsea's game too, but that's neither here nor there. Kira also mentions how Adam makes shakes for all the men he wants to work out with and women he wants to flirt with, but not for Kira because they are neither. The more Kira talks about Adam, the more she ruins Chelsea's chances of a meeting being effective because she's already airing out Adam's game. Well, they are already airing out Adam's game. They even revealed to the Youngbloods that Damien has been meeting with the pretty boys in the early morning for 3 straight days. And this story right here will have ramifications, and it will ring out around the entire house, and it will lead to a lot of players flopping with this key information. And this really is the example. This story is the dependent variable to show you who was a good player on the bottom, who was a bad player on the bottom. And we're going to break that down. Let's keep going. This made the Youngbloods more shocked by Damien being included than anything else. But it was great information for the Youngbloods to know because Kira brought up how none of the big macho men have thrown each other up yet. Kira comes up with a theory that Damien isn't really part of their group, but something changed and Adam probably is trying to recruit Damien now too. To a degree, this is kind of on point because they started trying to get extra close to Damien when he was Chelsea's pawn because they wanted to groom Damien himself to go after Eddie. They wanted to groom him themselves so he could go after Sam, stuff like that. All right, now let's continue. All right. Kira in this one conversation proved why she was my preseason Apex Predator pick. She read so many people perfectly under pressure to 2 women who really have a lot of pull with Eddie that hates Kira. So this move, no doubt, is what guaranteed Kira stayed on Thursday, in my opinion. All of this happened around 2 p.m. Canada time on cameras 1 and 2. After Kira leaves, the Youngbloods don't believe for a second Damien is in on the boys' alliance, which is good. But at the same time, they are happy this conversation happened because now they know Kira thinks they know how Kiki thinks. This is good because now Kiki knows how to manipulate Kira herself. This shows me the Youngbloods are very woke and know how to process information and analyze it later. That will change it later as well, but let's continue. It also shows me they won't turn on Damien, and it also tells me they 100% are voting out Chelsea this week. The women go to find something to eat in the storage room and decide on guacamole. They were looking for something to dip in it when Anthony walks in looking for a snack as well. This is important to mention because Anthony is close to them and Dane, but has only recently gotten close to Damien like that. Meaning Anthony walking in right after the conversation with Kira halted any game talk they could have possibly had in the storage room. So when all of these three walked out and started making breakfast, Damien happens to walk in and the Youngbloods did something that I think had everything to do with Anthony being there. Also, Kira and Eddie was there. So peep this. Even though the women both said out loud that they don't think Damien is working with the men, the first question they ask him when they see him walk towards the kitchen is, "Where have you been?" That showed me that they are approaching him with Kira's intel in mind. But also keep in mind, they told Kira specifically that they would only target Eddie if they had power. They covered their tracks here by not revealing cards to Kira and keeping the power in the conversation. But I'm mentioning this to make sense out of Kiki being kind of mean to Eddie in front of Kira to prove she doesn't trust him to her. Well, to them. And the reason I didn't get this move is because they need Eddie more than Kira because they have more ties to Eddie. But we already know it can't be Eddie because they stressed days ago about wanting Sam, Kira, and Corey gone before the men. So this story is mainly more context to provide for why I think Kiki and Esty are playing a risky, complex game with the people that trust them. They know to play Eddie off Kira and Kira off Eddie to control both players. The question is, will they be good enough to rein in Kira and get them to be okay with working with Eddie? Now that Eddie's gone, nope. Now let's continue. Camera switches to Anthony catching Mark up on everything he had to do to dissuade Kira from blowing up Mark's game. Peep game on Mark saying only Mark and Anthony can play Mark's game. I thought that was very suspicious for Mark to say that in front of Anthony. And if I'm Anthony and Mark thinks I'm capable of playing the way he's playing, that would make me immediately think I'm on his radar outside of our alliance. I'm on his radar. So I would be a little skeptical about that, coach. I'd be real skeptical about that. But let's continue. Mark asks Anthony why he wants Sam out so bad, and Anthony makes the mistake of expounding further on what he calls the fake shit. The same fake shit Mark defends her to Anthony by saying she never does to him. Anthony is too busy trying to push Eddie as the next target after Sam. He isn't peeping game on what Mark is trying to do with Sam to get him out. The gameplay between these two is feeling like a battle for apex predator supremacy so far. I can't lie. But the most improved player of the week is still Kira. But peep game on Dane walking towards the pool table and beginning to shoot the shit on fighting. That's when Anthony chimes in and says he's never lost a fight. I thought this was a huge misplay, y'all. I thought this was a huge misplay. Why are you making yourself stand out even more as someone that can't be beaten? I just think it's just the wrong statement to make. You need to be always aware. Even if these guys are your boys, you need to always be aware of how people perceive you. I've seen Dane and Mark and Adam away from Anthony call him, oh, he's cocky. Yeah, he's cocky. So they're already viewing you as a cocky individual, okay? And that's bad for your long-term win con. But let's continue. I think that was a poor choice of words for this game in front of Mark once again, because I think Mark is depositing all this shit. Dane reacted with a laugh, but you could tell that wasn't received well. But I hope for this brother's sake, his gameplay will supersede this misplay. Anthony asks Mark who he thinks will put him up, and Mark only says Eddie. Eddie seems to be the player everyone bashes now that Kaylin is gone. Remember I said, who is everyone going to blame now that Kaylin's gone? It became Eddie. But now that Eddie's gone, who y'all going to blame now? You feel me? Kira. Watch. It's going to be Kira now. See, it's so annoying, man. They just look for someone to bully, man, every single week. Now, let's continue. Eddie seems to be the player everyone bashes now that Kaylin is gone. Everyone looks at him as a floater, so bashing him doesn't come with any social repercussions. That I find to be intellectually lazy of all of these players, because I've already stressed Sam wanting Eddie gone, and that being my reason for wanting her to win veto, but not HOH in the double. And that's another reason why I didn't want Adam to win the damn HOH. And see, that's the thing, man. I felt so bad for Eddie. You know why? Because the answer he got wrong was a Kaylin question. that Adam won the HOH that sent Eddie home with? That was a Kaylin question, and that was about Kaylin's speech, you know? And that's what the irony behind that hurts, man. It really hurts because Eddie was the person Kaylin wanted to win, if not Damian. And he makes it that far, and then on a Kaylin question, he chooses the wrong answer. I mean, it's just so sad, man. It's really sad. And of course, Adam gets the answer right because that speech was all about his game. He gonna remember the whole fucking speech. He memorizing the whole preamble. All of the Bill of Rights of Kaylin. You feel it, Demi? But anyway, let's continue. But it's interesting how Mark was the one who mentioned multiple people wanting him out at first, but he only mentioned Eddie when Anthony asked for multiple names. He then asks Anthony who he thinks will put him up, and Anthony tells him nobody. So once again, Mark is microdosing what he gives Anthony, while Anthony gives him a bit too much of a vantage point on his own tendencies and comfort zone in the game. This isn't good. Both men both agree whoever wins HOH on the other side probably throws up Adam, but they have stories in place already to ensure Sam leaves before him. I think these men are underestimating the young bloods. Now, this was before the flop, okay? This was before the flop. All right, so give me a break here. This is still Tuesday. All right, at this point, I still had hope. All right, I got to come up with disclaimers and shit for why I had hope. But anyway, I think these men are underestimating the young bloods, Eddie and Damian, to think they won't vote Adam out with Kira over Sam. Anthony and Mark both laugh at the idea Chelsea thinks she could come at Dane, the Prince of Kelowna, in her veto speech. Anthony mentions how defeated Chelsea has been acting, how she doesn't even act the same anymore ever since she went up. He even mentioned what I did, how the radio host all of a sudden doesn't know how to socialize. Ding, ding, ding. It's funny, man. A lot of players this week was saying stuff about Chelsea I've been saying for weeks. Like it's pretty funny, some of the shit people were saying. I mean, Dane at one point called her a spoiled child who was a pageant girl who's got everything to go her way outside the game. Well, this ain't gonna go your way. So understand, she is being perceived exactly how I said she would be for that weak move. And everyone has called it a weak move in hindsight, that backdoor of Kaylin. Everyone can admit that was a weak-ass move. Now, let's continue. Anthony was talking all facts in this conversation, and it's good to see he was playing her before when I thought he could have been pandering. What I'm talking about is when I thought Anthony may have had a crush on Chelsea and he was allowing her to get away with a bit of bullshit and simping a bit, giving her compliments, but this was all gameplay. So this is my way of offsetting that by proving Anthony isn't emotional when it comes to Chelsea at all. I mean, he proved it this week, later in the week, past Tuesday anyway. Now, anyway. So even though that was confirmed, he's still making mistakes by making himself a bigger target by saying he's never lost a fight and telling Mark no one will target him. Those are flashback-esque type quotes, so I hope they don't come back to haunt the brother. And let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, he's not really getting any visibility on TV, so it's coming to a point where they gotta show flashbacks to explain his game at some point, and now they got the soundbite to embarrass the brother. I called it. If it happens, remember I called it here first, anti-climactic tactics, all right? The day before the B-Day, I called it. And right on cue, on cams 3 and 4, Kira is talking with Chelsea before a perceived house meeting, and both start to suspect Anthony is a pro football player or something because he keeps talking about getting into fights. Interesting. Big black guy talks about being in the fights. All of a sudden, he got to be a guy with tons of money playing pro football. I'm telling you, man, once you start talking a little bit too much, everyone starts reading in between the lines on it, and they start pouncing on the person of color that makes a mistake. This happens all the time, man. Now, you saw it with Eddie tonight. Now, this is why I took exception to him saying he never lost a fight to his allies. The seed has been planted now before Mark even gets to working Sam against Anthony. Kira, for some reason, is helping Chelsea get her speech together, but she's telling her to drive home why she would never work with Adam again. So the Youngbloods were right not to trust her after she appeared to use her brain and not her heart. Chelsea mentions outing the male alliance, and Kira says don't do it because it will out Kira the most for hearing the men talking in front of the mirror. Chelsea has to do this or else everything she does instead won't hit hard enough. Let's see if she takes the coward way out again. Or outs the pretty boys. She ended up taking the coward's way out again, coach. Now let's continue. Dane and Eddie are cleaning up in Leon's office. They both put everything up and count to find out there's only 141 boxes after it being 142 a day before. After Eddie leaves, Dane laughs about how he's removed more than one box on purpose to confuse players. It was really 143, but he removed 2 of them to confuse the rest of the house in case there's a competition and you have to remember clues that were in the room. This showed me Dane is playing a deep, deep game. I found him to be very impressive here because he only cleaned up the mess with Eddie to set the idea in Eddie's mind not to look in there for clues again. Dane is playing hard, but this is the type of gameplay I love to watch. This is kind of like Russell Hantz on Big Brother. I'm being honest with y'all. This is some cutthroat shit. But you know what? I respect somebody who is letting us know who he is from the start. It's on all of you to hold him accountable for who he is. When they reveal themselves, let them be who they revealed themselves to be. Don't try to change them. You feel me? Now let's continue. On the live feeders are waiting for Chelsea to grow a pair and start this meeting, but she keeps pussyfooting around. She goes to the storage room to get something to drink, but once she walks in, her mic is still on. But once she walks in and her mic is still on, you hear her saying people in this house are so shady. She says in front of camera she won't throw all the men under the bus in the meeting and just use it as a last-ditch effort. But this is the last-ditch effort, Chelsea. What the hell are you talking about? See, this is why I kept calling her a coward in the game. She has nothing to lose, and yet all she is thinking about is how risky outing the men instead of just Adam would be. Why would outing the men tomorrow or Thursday be more effective than outing them during a meeting when they don't see it coming yet? By tomorrow or Thursday, Kira could warn them to protect her own game and have the men ready to shoot down all claims. And because of Esty, that's already going to happen. Well, because of Esty, it never was going to happen, I mean. Now let's continue. Now is the time to prove you are this good player who deserves to make jury, but Chelsea don't want no smoke, coach. Let's just call it what it is. Chelsea finally gets that conversation she wanted with Sam, but Sam isn't taking this well, of course, because she doesn't know yet what the speech will be about. Will be about Adam more so than her. But peep game on Chelsea telling Sam about the men's alliance and Sam wanting confirmation about what she heard behind the door being true. Sam is relieved that she finally knows Adam has been playing them both. Now Sam is more mad because Adam was legit crying over Chelsea. So now Sam sees Adam as manipulating her emotions just like Chelsea does to Kira. But see, if Chelsea would out the men during this meeting, it would be much more advantageous for the young bloods to pivot to join all women together minus Kira, to take out a guy during the double. But for whatever reason, Chelsea isn't incorporating the double into what she wants to say to the house. And I think that's a huge misplay as well. And I'm very interested to see if Adam yells at Chelsea the same way he yelled at Kaylin. If he does, he's showing this is his behavior. If he doesn't, it'll show he gives women special treatment when he's angry about his game being compromised, especially if they're white. This is really a lose-lose situation for him specifically. And honestly, I'm shocked Chelsea told Sam about the men's alliance before this speech, because in theory, Sam could use the information to backstamp Chelsea during the meeting to save Adam and make the other three men look far worse. Sam would have nothing to lose for this move, and it would take it out of Chelsea's hands to do, but keep the same impact. One of these ladies must pull the trigger, though, and neither did. Okay? Sam goes to talk to Adam in the bathroom. Adam blames Anthony for why Chelsea is acting defiant now. I thought this was real bizarre. He's just going to blame Anthony because he was the last one who talked to her. All right, whatever, bro. All right, bro. I mean, it was Anthony's fault, but I mean, damn, bro, that's supposed to be your alliance mate, but you're telling Sam you're mad at Anthony. It's like, what the fuck? So this is proof. He covers for people sometimes, but he's okay with Sam thinking he ain't that close to Anthony. I'm peeping game on this. Now, this isn't good for Anthony's game because Anthony was the one pushing Chelsea to do the meeting because that's what valedictorian Chelsea Bird would do. But the fact that Adam already suspects Anthony is behind this means this will blow back on Anthony, even if the Pretty Boys Alliance isn't mentioned during the meeting. Adam says it isn't their job to play Chelsea's game for her, and he does have a point there. Chelsea was the one who played Adam's game for so long, she feels betrayed when he took her training wheels away on Thursday night. She had it so easy, didn't she? Minute she faced some adversity. Oh my God, I want to quit. All right, let's continue. Sam and Adam also discussed Damian approaching Sam about why she almost flipped to keep Kaylin last week. Sam explained she only did it because Damian didn't campaign to her, which sketched her out. And that's how Sam really felt. So she didn't lie to Damian, but it makes sense he would ask her that. And that even getting back to Damian should tell him the men are the ones who are trying to get Damian to target her. Hopefully now that she knows about the men, she can play Adam long enough to put plans into place before he prepares the men as well. Adam mentions to Kira how it's nearly impossible for Chelsea to stay, and Kira mentions how Chelsea has become so paranoid while looking straight psychotic. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, Chelsea was looking a little crazy, coach. I mean, she would do this thing where she would stand over the ledge and just stare at people on couches and just think. And it would look so bizarre. Like, sit the hell down and stop staring at everyone from up top. It looked real weird, man. It looked real weird, all right? Chelsea stood over the loft upstairs and just stared down, watching Kira and Anthony talk together on the couch. I noticed this too, but didn't think Kira peeped it this way. I thought she would have been so emotional and so unconditionally in love with Chelsea that she would go, oh, she's watching me, yes. But no, she actually read between the lines and said, damn, this bitch don't trust me. She over here spying on me with Anthony. Good to know. Kira is low-key getting better by the week. Now, let's continue. Dane and Anthony get to talking about Chelsea wanting this meeting in the storage room, and both agree it's obvious Sam and Adam will go up next if Chelsea does this. Anthony mentions they view Sam how Chelsea and Sam views Dane. Everyone is on board with getting out Sam, even the Youngbloods. Anthony and Dane both agree they can no longer risk defending Adam and both leave out. They both say they feel bad for her, but oh well, and both appear to really want to work with Corey, who is still in the best position even after winning a veto she didn't have to win. Kira tells Sam and Adam Chelsea is freaking out because she's used to being in control. Thank you. This is what I've been trying to say, y'all. Kira pulls Sam to the side because she saw Sam react weird to Chelsea talking to her. Kira mentions she has something to tell her, but can't right now. They don't know the seed she planted with the Youngbloods isn't how this rumor got spread around, though. It got spread around because of Chelsea telling Sam minutes ago. Hopefully, Kira doesn't ruin the only chance we have at a women's alliance by misinformation, but we'll see. While Cam 2 stares at Chelsea staring into blank space, you can hear Dane talking through his mic to himself on who would vote for him to win the game. He thinks as long as Sam or Eddie does not make jury, he wins the game no matter who he sits next to. He just needs to make it past a triple eviction. If Dane loses because of poor jury management, this moment will be flashback worthy, just like Anthony's aforementioned moment was, okay? Anthony speaks to Chelsea and tells her she can't expose anything during the meeting to people that they already know. It's mad ironic because he isn't really privy yet to everything Chelsea knows, including his participation in the men's alliance. Anthony wants her to save herself and not think of anybody else while doing it, which is pretty funny because the more advice he gives her, the more advice he kind of gives her to throw his game under the bus, but she never did it. So it's almost like he was, it's almost like he knew she didn't have it in her to do it, but he kept pushing her to do it to make her believe he supported her the entire time. It's a really good mind fuck he put her on. Now let's continue. Eddie just caught Chelsea off guard with Kira's impressive campaign skills. She exposed Chelsea for exposing Eddie's game to Kira last week. Chelsea lost Eddie's vote 100% after this. But at the end of the day, Eddie got sent home right after Chelsea, so who really cares, right? But for her to say maybe it happened, but it's of no consequence after denying it is wild. How can you say something didn't happen, but then when Eddie provides more detail to show you are lying, you then tell the victim how to react by saying there's no consequence? Huh? Does that make any sense, coach? The consequence is you not getting Eddie's vote, Chelsea. What is she talking about? You just aren't good at this game. Now let's get into Wednesday's feeds, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday's feeds ain't gonna be that long, I promise y'all. Because at the end of the day, I stopped watching because Tuesday pissed me off because she never did the meeting. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna boycott Wednesday. Hit me up if the meeting starts, coach. But until then, I'm cool. Like, real talk. That's exactly how Wednesday went for a lot of people. Let's continue. Because Chelsea wasted everyone's time on Tuesday, I ignored feeds on all Wednesday because fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type shit. Chelsea wasted away all of Wednesday just like she did Tuesday. I jumped on feeds just in time to see Chelsea joking about eating wieners like she isn't going home tomorrow. I mean, I was like, what the hell is this shit? She pulls Sam to the bedroom away from Kira and Adam to tell her she wishes they had kept Kaylin because Kaylin would know how to stop the men. Ding, ding, ding. This is what we tried to tell you. This is what Recency Bias Radio was the first to mention. And everyone kept saying I was wrong. But let's continue. This is what I've been trying to tell people, but they kept telling me Chelsea knew what she was doing last week. This proves how bad of a player she truly is and solidifies her legacy in the game as a coward who never lived up to her own hype. She wants to be so loyal to these men, but grew fangs and claws to get out the oldest woman in the game. Now she's saying she plans to approach all the men Thursday morning and tell them if they don't vote to keep her, she will expose their alliance. See, this is why I had a problem with her stalling on Tuesday. I knew she was going to talk herself out of doing it. If she tells the men ahead of time, all they got to do is come up with a plan to make Chelsea look like she's lying, and it'll be 4 against 1. Chelsea would be forfeiting the element of surprise by telling them ahead of time. But why does she value those 3 votes more than the other 5 she could, well, really more than the other 6 she could stay in the game with? Eddie is already working to keep her, so that's 1 vote. Sam could be 2. Now she just needs to do the meeting to convince 3 people to flip. Damien, Kiki, and Esty. Or maybe Damien, Corey, and Kiki. You know, it don't gotta be Esty, but my problem is she made the mistake of nominating 2 of these 3 possible votes last week. So she thinks she has a higher chance of convincing the men than the young blood plus Damien, proving if she stays, she'll probably work with the men for saving her, giving all superfans no incentive of wanting her to stay over Kira now. Chelsea ruined her reputation with most superfans because of this move alone. Now let's continue. Around 1 a.m., and this is Wednesday night, so really this is Thursday morning, but y'all get what I'm saying. Around 1 a.m., Esty has a key conversation with Chelsea where she tells her about the men working together. But once again, she's too scared to tell everyone this at the same time. Esty appeared to have genuinely believed Chelsea, so when the conversation ends, she goes to the bedroom to see Dane with Eddie and Kiki. Now, the situation, the conversation we saw in tonight's episode where you saw Esty sitting Indian style basically on that countertop when she was in the storage room speaking to Chelsea, everything I'm about to talk about right now happens right after that conversation, right after Chelsea reveals the idea of a men's alliance to Esty. This is the moment when Esty completely flopped and ruined her reputation as well. So please follow me because this is really the most important part of the week. This is the most important part because this was the part that let us know all the women on this season besides maybe Kiki are canceled. All right, so let's continue. And besides Kaylin, of course, but she isn't on the season no more, so you get what I'm saying. And you know what? And besides Laura as well. Laura didn't deserve that shit. Now let's continue. Esty appeared to have genuinely believed Chelsea, so when the conversation ends, she goes to the bedroom to see Dane with Eddie and Kiki. They are trying to convince him it's best to vote with the house. And when I mean him, I mean Eddie. They are trying to convince Eddie it's best to vote with the house because he will have the votes to stay if Kira somehow pulls off an HOH victory. Now, this was a blatant lie because they promised Eddie they would keep him, and then they voted to keep Kira over him the next fucking day, y'all. So this was a fucked up lie. And for Kiki and Esty to be part of this lie, disgraceful. Now, we knew Dane ain't getting no fuck. But I'm just shocked in these women. Like, damn. And see, that's why a lot of people watching this live episode tonight wanted someone, Kiki, somebody to throw a hinky vote, someone to create some type of a stir, but no one wanted to do it because everyone is scared. Everyone's scared. You know, they just want to coast along and guarantee they make that jury slot. Then they want to play. But by then, the men have the game in a stranglehold. I just don't get it, man. Now, let's continue. So like I'm saying, they're trying to convince him to basically vote for Chelsea out, okay? And as you saw tonight, Eddie did vote Chelsea out. So they did convince him to do that, but they didn't hold their other end of the bargain. I agree with this for Eddie's game because Eddie was helping Chelsea campaign earlier in the day, but nobody trusts him, and you can clearly tell being everyone's throwaway target in conversation hurts him because he really misses Kaylin. He no longer has that connection with somebody. Sure, he is working with Damien, but Kaylin was the one person who truly loved Eddie before it was advantageous to do so. Let's be honest. Remember, Kaylin was cool with every target from the first 2 weeks. That includes Laura, Kira, Eddie, and Damien in the first week. So Eddie basically, and she wasn't cool with Kira, but I'm just mentioning Kira to prove a point here. So basically, Eddie lost all of his friends the first 3 weeks of the game. Laura loved Eddie. Mackie made Eddie laugh and smile and participate in group events because Mackie had a lot of fun games to play. And Kaylin made Eddie feel at home, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It's best for Eddie to not play emotionally and to go with the house, then win double eviction HOH. And he was so close to pulling that off, y'all. And he still got shitted on. It's fucked up, man. Well, anyway, Esty walks in on them discussing this, and she clearly has that conversation with Chelsea fresh on her mind, so she isn't playing her social game the same and looks bewildered walking in. You even hear Dane go out of his way to say, "Why do you look so spicy, Esty? What just happened in the storage room?" And he keeps prodding, trying to get her to tell him what happened. But because Eddie is in the room, that is what makes Esty not want to reveal information. And that's what sketches me out. Like, damn, you don't trust Eddie to the point where you won't tell him what Chelsea told you? Don't you expect Chelsea to have already said this to Eddie, though? I just don't understand this. But then I'm going to get into what happened this morning where she voluntarily told Mark this information, but she didn't feel the need of telling Eddie. So understand, Esty's going to fuck up here, all right? But we're going to give you the 360-degree view only the way RBR knows how to. Now, let's continue. All right, so like I said, at the end of the day, she must have had this conversation with Chelsea fresh on her mind because she didn't play it off really well when she went in that room. She said, "I'm looking for my toothbrush." And she just looked real awkward, okay? This leads to Kiki and Dane inquiring what's wrong, which then leads to Esty playing it off poorly. Many live feeders believe in this moment Esty acted that way just because she didn't want to discuss Chelsea with Eddie sitting there, which I agree with. So after Eddie left, Dane mentions he needs to go to the bed because production wants them to go to bed. This leads to Kiki, of course, asking Esty to share her bed for the night, but Esty promises Dane literally seconds before this on his way out the room that she will sleep with him. Now, she didn't literally sleep with him, but she went to the room with him to tell him about the information Chelsea told her before she told Kiki, which was a huge misplay because when I provide context that these two women decided to have separate beds on this specific night, and it was all because Sam and Mark were spreading a rumor about them discussing game late at night, that led to them changing beds and not sleeping together anymore, okay? So the fact that Esty, with this context, didn't think it was even more of a priority to go to Kiki with this information first, then go to Dane's last, because she can always knock on his door and have a private conversation with him. She can't always talk to Kiki private. You see what I'm saying here? So for her to do this, this was her choosing a side, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake about it. She chose Dane's side in this moment. And we're going to break this down even further. But it was important for me to freestyle this part because a lot of people, they might not get where I'm coming from, but the notes will back up this freestyle. Now let's continue. This leads to a fake fight with fake tears from Kiki. But Kiki may have misplayed this because it was in front of both Eddie and Kira, two players that need information badly to pivot themselves. This leads to Esty, for some reason, yelling out, "Fuck the men." And it was so bizarre because isn't that too similar to the information she didn't want to expound on in front of Eddie to Dane and Kiki just minutes prior? Okay, then why say fuck the men in front of Eddie and Kira after Dane leaves then? It doesn't make any sense. And why run to Dane and tell him about this situation? That way the boys can telegraph the women coming after them if you truly feel like it's fuck the men. See, Esty didn't make any sense last night, y'all. She didn't make no sense. All right, now let's continue. So this is an example of how poorly the Young Buds played on Wednesday night. But to be fair, Kiki didn't really contribute to playing that poorly outside of the fake tears element. Outside of that, she didn't really do nothing wrong. All right. But I got to hold her accountable for that because she was the girl singing as soon as Dane won HOH, and now she's showing people she can fake cry, which then makes people assume she threw the veto competition and all that crying she did after losing that veto competition to Sam was all fake tears. And then all of a sudden, it makes Kiki look like even more of a threat than she really is. But for Kira to call her out on fake tears when Kira does the same white girl crying technique herself, once again shows white girl crying technique users hate it when someone else uses their technique. I mean, it's fucking hilarious to me. It's fucking hilarious. It's like the Brazilian jiu-jitsu of Caucasian women gameplay. That was a bar. That was a bar right there. That may have went over some heads, but that was a bar. That was a bar. All right, let's continue. But then Esty does the unthinkable. My theory was she didn't care about Eddie as much as Dane hearing this and wanted to keep it between her and Kiki to take out the men. But right on cue, Esty leaves Kiki to go to the HOH room and spill the beans completely on not only Kira, but what Chelsea just told her about the men working together. Her reasons for doing this is centered around Chelsea mentioning Damien being involved in the men's alliance. But that's based off Kira's testimony that she already was privy to before Chelsea spoke to her. Either way, though, this was a huge mistake for Esty to make in this moment, ladies and gentlemen. Not only did Esty prep Dane, which by proxy preps all pretty boys for what Chelsea thinks of them all, she also, as a result, ruined any chance Chelsea has of succeeding and threatening the men well enough to make them have to save her. This is what I believe Kiki cried about minutes prior. I don't believe those tears were fake anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I think Kiki is too smart to show anyone she's capable of fake crying. Now, this morning, she admitted she made a mistake showing Kira she could fake cry. But I think this was her playing off her true feelings to Esty, because I think she legit did not appreciate Esty not sharing that conversation. And then for Esty this morning to go, wait, Chelsea didn't have the same conversation with you? You would have known that if you would have compared notes, but you decided not to, and you decided to run the Dane. So, all right, we gonna break this down, but ooh, man, listen, Esty done fucked up. Now, I think she knew Esty deciding to go to the HOH room right after meeting with Chelsea in that storage room was a sign of where Esty's true loyalty lies, okay? Esty basically showed her that she chooses Dane over Kiki without having to say it. Esty let a lot of fans down last night. Dare I say she pulled a Chelsea last night. She tells Dane she didn't want to say this in front of both Dane and Kiki because Dane would tell her about the men's alliance if Kiki isn't there. What? This is facts. She told Dane that she knew Dane would tell her if he was in a men's alliance if Kiki wasn't in the room. And then Dane proceeds to lie to her and deny being in a men's alliance. This is Brittany Haynes, man. This is Brittany Haynes. This is some of the worst gameplay. And see, now y'all see why I ranked Estefania so low on my preseason ranking list. I didn't see enough. My eyes didn't show me enough. My eyes showed me she would be a dependent player. There's independent players, there's dependent players. Independent players are what dependent players rely on to get further. Independent players are players that would make it to wherever they got to regardless. Okay? They would find a way. She's not an independent player, coach. I'm being honest with y'all, man. You feel me? And I'm one of the biggest fans of the YB Queens. So understand, this is once again me being unbiased, while the competition remains to be biased. So let's continue. Esty is flopping of the highest level right now. You owed it more to Kiki to tell her first so she can prep you on what not to tell Dane so he won't tip off the men just in case. But you decided for yourself you were so special that he would never lie to you, as if you got that primetime pussy or something when you ain't even giving him none of it. I really don't get what Esty was thinking here. But he's already lied on his father again this week. So why wouldn't Esty assume he could lie to her just as easily? Like, this is bizarre, all right? He's showing you who he really is, but you won't believe it. That's on you after a certain point. You are consenting to this by voluntarily giving him this information on Chelsea. You didn't even have to tell him what she really said. You could have chalked it off as standard campaign talk if you had came in that bedroom correctly with your game face on. Because you failed to show your own poker face, you revealed your cards and then had to choose a side when none of this would be even possible if you just came in that damn room like your normal self. You failing to come in there shows me you believed what Chelsea said to a degree. So why betray her that fast when you had everything to gain from sitting back and letting it all play out? She even snitched on Kiki's gameplay by telling Dane she thinks Kiki will cut anybody and would cut Esty at the end. Wow. Facts, though. This came out of her mouth. She threw even Kiki under the bus to Dane. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch? This is crazy, man. So Esty is betraying Kiki now on top of snitching on Chelsea, on top of saying fuck the men around Eddie and Kira. In a 30-minute span, I'd argue Estefania fell down my power rankings by at least 5 spots. She forfeited all the power she had and the information she couldn't keep within herself. Now you all see why my WTF ratings had her so low. I was worried about her being a dependent player, all right? Dane asks if he can confront Chelsea and Esty says no. I don't understand why she told him this information now before Chelsea left if she didn't want a confrontation. What are you in a rush for? What are you in a fucking rush for? This is some of the most mind-blowing anti-climactic gameplay I can remember in Big Brother Canada history. Esty even told Dane about the hand signal the pretty boys use, which we saw in today's episode. It's like that, you feel it, dig me? You know what I'm saying? So now the pretty boys know not to use it anymore when she could have spied on them to look for the hand signal next week. Oh my God, this is just a misplay on so many levels, bruh. But peep game on Dane agreeing with Esty that Anthony can't make Final 4, let alone Final 2, because of how well he can speak. Are you serious? So because he's a brother who has great vernacular, who can hold a conversation, he can't make Final Four. But you notice Dane ain't saying the same thing about Mark, though. Ain't that weird? That's more projection, y'all. Anthony can't play this game, but Mark can. Kaylin can't play this game, but Chelsea can. You see what's going on here? You see what's going on here? And this is still the conversation Dane had with Estefania, by the way. You feel it, Damien? It'll be interesting to see who uses the excuse of Anthony being likable as the reason for him being their pawn, because I think it's in play when a black player is this good socially. They will create a target for you if there isn't one. Being a pawn puts you under a microscope, so his game couldn't be exactly the same on the block, which is why I think someone might get this idea from production who has been giving Anthony no tick in the game confessional-wise. They might not want him getting credit. They might not want him getting credit for this game, but they still want this Canadian brigade to be dominant at the same time. I'm saying don't be surprised if Anthony becomes the mat. We all expect Mark to be the mat. But what if Anthony is really the guy that they cut early and then go to the end with them three? It's very possible here. It's very possible. Because the same way the brigade was planting seeds about not trusting Matt, they're kind of planting the same seeds in different ways. Adam has thrown Anthony under the bus to Sam. Mark is getting close to Sam just in case Adam gets thrown out the game so he can sick Sam on Anthony as well. And then you got Dane going out of his way to say Anthony can't make Final Four because he talks too well. I mean, come on. These are your allies. These are your ride or dies. And they talk like this to other people about you when you ain't around. Come on, man. But I never see them say the same type of shit about each other between the three of them. They always use Anthony as the dude who they will throw under the bus. It's really weird, man. And I think this is all because, once again, Anthony is being too vocal about no one targeting him. So they're trying to make the target for him. All right. I wanted her to take in this information, compare notes with Kiki, get Kiki's input on how to further approach Dane with more confirmation of what she already knew from Kira, then speak to Dane, snow him on what she talked to Chelsea about, and prepare for the double with Dane completely in the dark. But instead, we get this bullshit. This season is becoming worse by the second, ladies and gentlemen. These women are making Kaylin look like so much better of a player by comparison with how many mistakes they make with under-the-radar games. I mean, when you think about it, Kaylin had no margin of error, and she still played fantastic. These other girls are allowed to lay low and not be perceived as huge targets, and they still make huge mistakes when all they got to do is chill the fuck out, sit down, and take a damn nap. Like Kaylin is the winner out of all of this, in my opinion. All of these other women are just proving Kaylin deserves that all-star slot more than all of them. The more they crash and burn. Kiki really is the only other person who could really vie for it, who could really try out for that all-star slot. But even Kiki would have been lost in this game early if it wasn't for Kaylin. So at the end of the day, it's got to go to Kaylin, coach. So let's continue. Kira got into it with Chelsea again, and Chelsea asked her where she's sleeping, which basically was an aggressive way of saying, let's break up as bed partners. So now you got Chelsea and Kira sleeping in separate beds because Chelsea's tired of this shit. She's tired of it, coach. She's like, man, fuck this. I'm tired of this shadow, damn it. You feel me? Chelsea like, nah, bro. It's not finna go down like that. You feel me? You would have thought she was Sonic the Hedgehog the way she was tired of Shadow. Insider, let's continue. All right, Dane bookended the case report on Chelsea's bad game. She doesn't know what adversity feels like, and he even said everything has been given to her as a pageant girl. He even mentioned how Kaylin broke Chelsea with that speech because she never was the same afterwards, proving my point that Kaylin did take Chelsea's Infinity Stone. I told y'all she took it. She snatched it, boy. She said, man, give me my lunch money. You feel it? Dig me, coach. Hey, man, there's levels to this shit, man. And Kaylin had to let her know, you not on my level, coach. You never will be. You can't handle the truth, B. And that's what's really real. I'm just being honest. Now, let's continue. They mentioned how Sam is getting closer to Mark and how Sam is telling people Kiki and Esty have late night chats, so Esty decided to sleep in another room. So there is a possibility they were fake tears again, excuse me, but I highly doubt it and think Kiki really likes Esty and didn't want her to sleep in a different room before telling her about what Chelsea said. Excuse me. This context makes it even more apparent to a skilled player something isn't right. Because even if Kiki did know about why they couldn't sleep together, she would assume Esty would share that information with her first, because she can always get a one-on-one conversation with Dane, but not always one with Kiki at night. Meaning Kiki should be even more slighted, not less, by this outcome, especially since Esty told Dane information that hurts Kiki's game specifically. Esty is the least improved player of the week, and Kira still gets most improved, but Corey is still in the best position in the game, even though most would argue Anthony is. Esty gets done speaking with Dane, and Dane walks away mad as hell at Adam because the women know the men are together now, and he blames Adam for it. It will be very interesting to see if Dane blames this all on Adam to the women down the road. Now let's get to Thursday's feeds, ladies and gentlemen. This is what led into tonight's anti-climactic tactic double eviction episode around 9 a.m. Canada time. Esty further buried her reputation. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, she just choked. I mean, I don't know what's going on in her head. Now, first thing Thursday morning, pardon me, Dane tells Anthony the news about what Chelsea and Kira told Esty that Esty told Dane. Dane also tells him about how Adam is ruining the men's games because he said multiple times he wants to go to the end with the men because last season sucked with 2 women at the end. This explains why Dane was so pissed specifically with Adam. But Dane does laugh at the fact Esty is dumb enough to not believe the men alliance exists and wants to be the Brittany Haynes who's the token last girl left with no chance of winning. Evidently, Adam has been mentioning the rain too much to signal secret meetings, but the women are noticing that's what rain means too. Remember how a few rants ago, I brought up how Mark's dumbass decided, hey man, let's go for a jog. Let's run a lap around the backyard for a second, right before they were opening up drinks. Remember I mentioned that? He was the one who started saying, hey man, if I say it's raining, that means I want to have a secret meeting. This is essentially the evolution of that. Now the women are starting to notice they keep mentioning fucking rain when it never rains. So now they're starting to connect dots together that, oh, this is them telegraphing their moves. Now let's continue. Evidently, like I mentioned, he mentions the rain too much. Anthony feels secure with this information because it's all just speculation. But see, this is why Esty should have kept her fucking mouth shut. Now the men all know to stop mentioning the rain, stop using hand signals, and they have a built-in excuse that they just enjoy each other's company. Chelsea took a chance with Esty because she probably knew Kiki snitched on her about the women's alliance. But ironically, I'm not mad at Chelsea right now because I always knew she was a flop. I'm more mad at Esty for playing Chelsea's cowardice game as Chelsea leaves the game. What is it with people wanting power vacuums that don't complement their core gameplay values? Chelsea wanted Kaylin's, and now Esty wants Chelsea's. The women in this game are so busy trying to one-up each other, they all are getting destroyed by the men. Dane and Anthony go their separate ways. Dane goes to Kiki's bedroom and reassures Eddie to vote out Chelsea because it will be unanimous. Eddie tells him he will, and Dane dips out. Dane then makes his way to the red room to speak to Esty as she wakes up. Esty still hasn't told Kiki shit about what Chelsea told her yet. So it's been the entire night has gone by. She still ain't talked to Kiki yet. Meanwhile, she's going to have 2 separate conversations with Dane before she talks to Kiki once. Come on, man. She's showing you who she's really aligned to, people. The young bloods are crumbling before our eyes, and it's sad. Kiki is the only woman I will support in this game going forward now, besides maybe Corey. The rest are sheep playing a man's game. What pisses me off the most is Kiki could have been this selfish with her game and betrayed Esty to Mark before she got close to Dane. But Kiki is too loyal for that. And this goes back to why I keep telling y'all Kiki has some feelings for Esty. Because those tears were real from last night. Those were the tears of someone that sees you are getting played, but they can't tell you because it would be received differently. Dare I say, if Kiki had kept her sexuality more of a secret, she probably would have had more liberty to tell Esty Dane is playing her now. But because she is bisexual to her fellow house guests, she can't really tell a straight woman how to play the game in a showmance with a straight man. She has to let Esty come to her to discuss Dane like that. But isn't it interesting how Esty threw Kiki under the bus with no remorse, but thinks the men won't do the same thing to her? This is literally what happened to Chelsea. Literally. Dane is already thinking she is a fool for telling her this much, and this is facts. Notice how Dane approaches Kiki about Esty knowing something from last night, but Kiki thinks it's all about the drama behind Kira switching beds. This confirms Kiki doesn't know a thing about what Chelsea told Esty yet, but Dane was testing Esty's loyalty by asking Kiki this question. I think Dane wanted to know if Esty already told Kiki the same thing she already told Dane. And by Kiki not telling him or not expounding further on that question, because that was a very vague question. That question was very open-ended. It was meant for interpretation. right? So she could have answered that and mentioned Kira. She could have answered that and mentioned Chelsea. She could have answered that, mentioned Esty. She could have answered that any way she wanted to, but the fact that she answered it the way she did about switching beds let Dane know that Esty is more loyal to Dane than he is to her, okay? And I think that's what Esty wanted. Esty wants Dane to believe she's more loyal to him. And I think she is real loyal to him. So this isn't even gameplay on her part. This is the truth. She's just being dumb. Now let's continue. But then Esty makes another huge mistake by telling Kiki about the information Chelsea told her. But this time, she does it in front of Dane and Mark. So you mean to tell me you couldn't tell your number one ally in the game this story all night? Then the morning comes around and you decide to tell her in front of Dane when the night before you told Dane you didn't want to say this in front of both of them because you knew Dane would tell you the truth if she wasn't around. Dane lies to you in your face. Then you retell the story in front of Dane and her to prove to Dane you're just as loyal to him as you are to her. But in doing so, you also said it to Mark, who is one of the 4 men in question that are working with Dane. What? And why do people trust Mark? Trust me, y'all. This don't make sense to me either. I'm just trying to I'm trying to get y'all up to speed so it makes sense why it shouldn't make sense, if that makes sense. I'm just saying, man. I mean, this is some of the worst gameplay I think I've seen in a long time, man. All right, and I lost myself in the feeds because I was laughing. Hold on. Let me see where I was. Okay, yeah, I'm at this part where she made a huge mistake. All right. So let me get back to what I said. So yeah, so Esty makes another huge mistake by telling Kiki about the information Chelsea told her, but in front of Dane and Mark. Didn't she just say last night she didn't want to share this information with both Dane and Kiki at the same time? So why share it in front of them plus Mark? This shows me Esty trusts Mark more than Eddie, which is very stupid. And it further shows how much she is drifting away from Kiki. She won't even give her the respect of a one-on-one conversation. And let's be real, Kiki was the one telling Esty weeks ago never to trust Mark. So for her to say that story in front of Mark and Kiki and Dane, it explains why Kiki was giving Esty that look like, don't explain the story now. But she didn't catch the signal. And honestly, she had to keep telling the story because Dane was right there, and she can't be seen as a girl who's being punked by Kiki because now Dane will interpret that as Kiki is the one controlling Esty. So, oh my God. Oh man, Flop Central. Flopping more than PSG. I'm just saying. Man, I apologize, Damien. You didn't deserve that joke. A lot of these other folks do, though. Golly. All right. But yeah, so this further shows me how much she is drifting away from Kiki. She won't even give her the respect of a one-on-one conversation with pertinent information. She chose to go to bed when she could have spoke to her before bed. Now, after waking up, she's choosing to share this in front of Mark, of all people. This shows she is ignoring Kiki's advice on never trusting Mark as well. Eddie and Chelsea talk in the bathroom. Eddie tells her if she has 4 of the votes, he will vote to keep her, but only if he's in the majority. Problem is, Chelsea can't get the majority because of what Esty just did. Chelsea thinks what she did last night has helped her game only because she expected Esty to be a smart player, because she did tell her she's a smart woman. So like I said, Esty ruined this morning's feeds by telling Dane all of that information last night because now the men can't be caught off guard now. So even though this conversation won't lead to anything, I think it's important to show Eddie is playing his own game and refuses to be Dane's bitch now, just like he refused to be his bitch for the Mackey vote. So put some respect on Eddie's name. Eddie was never one of these cowardice players. He was just a player people was too much of a coward to work with. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. Shout out to the Play Possum Phenom. All right. Eddie is showing us that fighter spirit we wanted to see from the Youngbloods, but Esty is too busy trying to be carried to the end to care about how she's flopping. I've got to give Dane credit here, though, as much as I'm bashing Esty, because this social game was so good last week in protecting Esty from touching the block, she probably thinks she owes him now. But for her to think Kiki would cut her at the end, but Dane wouldn't, is comical. She doesn't know Kiki has her best interest more than Dane ever will, and that's the true tragedy that comes from all of this, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Adam walks in the HOH room to talk to Dane, and Dane gives him the spiel on what Chelsea and Kira both said. He also told him about the perceived hand signal. Now remember, Esty told Dane to tell nobody, but Dane is telling everyone anyway. Kiki would have told no one and left it in her memory bank instead. But Esty volunteering to tell this story in front of Mark gave Dane all the excuse in the world to blame this on Mark if it gets out back to her. So Esty is making more mistakes to compound her initial mistake. No matter how you shake it, Esty flopped here. No matter how you shake it. Okay, and this is multiple flops. This is layers of flopping. You feel it, dig me? Like this is crazy. Adam and Dane both want to speak to Chelsea, but Dane promised Esty he wouldn't confront her. They both want to call out Chelsea on her bullshit, but both know it will only do more harm to their games than good. Dane tells Adam to not tell Sam, and Adam agrees. Sam already knows this story, though. She knew about it before the Youngbloods knew, so it wouldn't make a difference, really, even if Adam told her. Adam leaves. All right, let me get a water break for a second. We've been breezing past these notes, all right? Esty finally tells Kiki about what Chelsea said alone, but it was after she already told Mark this story in front of Kiki. Esty asks Kiki if Chelsea told her the story, and Kiki says no. So was Esty not telling her because she assumed Chelsea already did? Even if that was the case, she still should have compared notes with her. Kiki mentions how Sam and Mark are a lot closer now. Both women think Mark wants Adam out to have Sam on his side to use as a weapon. This is funny, though, because Sam doesn't trust Mark either, so she's most likely playing him. But I think for now, she knows Chelsea's on her way out, and I think she'll take all the help she can get, and that's why she's entertaining Mark right now. Esty wants a final, and besides, Mark just mentioned he'd rather have Dane out before Adam anyway, so I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to groom her to go after Dane. I don't know. Esty wants a final four with Damien, Dane, and Kiki, but this is unrealistic because she wants to be in the final 8 with all the pretty boys and Corey. She thinks she can convince Anthony to do this deal because he's close to Corey, but he'll do the deal more because Esty's dumbass wants all the men to make the final 7. I don't get why she wants Mark to stay over Sam and Adam to stay over Corey. That doesn't make any sense to me. Corey is close to Anthony, but she's also close to Damien. Why wouldn't you want her to stay? Let me just continue, man. This is some of the most stupid gameplay. Also, notice how Esty clearly isn't saying anything negative about Dane to Kiki, but she has said multiple negative things about Kiki to Dane. That shows you who she's really loyal to in itself. Sam walks up and sits next to them to talk. She tells them they are smart women and need to work together going forward, but they can't clue Kira in on anything because they are a rat. Sam promises the women if she wins the double eviction HOH, she won't nominate them, and they agree to do the same. But it's clear the Youngbloods are lying to Sam because they stupidly want all the men to make final 8, not Sam, and it's still 12 people left as of today. That means Kira, Sam, Chelsea, and Eddie have to all leave before any of the men do, and Esty is okay with that shit? Oh my God. And see, when I break it down, man, like, Esty really sounds like a recruit, doesn't she? Like when I break this down, this sounds like the gameplay of a recruit. I mean, I was hard on Chelsea, but man, whoa, we expected more from Esty. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa. So this is basically Esty deciding to force all the women to play the Mikey Garcia game of just wanting to survive to the end of the fight as a consolation prize. And the men are Errol Spence, basically, throwing punch after punch with no counterattack. With no counter punch, like the announcer would say. But at the end of the day, the men are basically Errol Spence throwing punch after punch and has the women curled up into a shell, curled up into a ball. They just want to survive and last as long as possible. They don't even want to fight back, right? It's like they've been mentally defeated. This is almost like Ramsay Bolton fucking up Theon Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. How about that for a mention right there? It's almost like that. It's almost like all the women are reek, and all the men are just Ramsay Bolton eating fucking pork sausages in front of him after he flays. Let me stop. I ain't trying to spoil the show for y'all. Some of y'all might not watch it. All right, let me not get crazy out here. Damn, Dave, you ruined the show for me. All right, let me stop. All right. But yeah, so all right, ladies and gentlemen, now's the time to get into Thursday's episode. Once I get done covering this, we will get into answering questions, so have your questions ready. Mighty Mods, thank you for holding it down as long as you have. I haven't been able to check the live chat, as you can tell. Now, Thursday's episode happens tonight. First thing I noticed was how interesting it was how Mark is getting the edit we all expected Anthony to get. Interesting. He specifically said he wants to get out the Prince of Kelowna, the Great Dane. This falls parallel, though, with Mark's pre-game strategy of wanting to get out all comp beasts towards the middle of the game. But peep game on Mark talking to Chelsea like she's a damn floater. I told y'all she's a floater. This made her call him condescending after he said he would tell her everything after the game. But Mark, if she's going to leave the game pre-jury anyway, she'd already know what really happened before the finale. So I don't get Mark saying this, and I understand why Chelsea would take it personally, but understand, Chelsea came off this exact condescending way towards Kaylin last week, so I don't feel sorry for her in the slightest. You know, she's getting a dose of her own medicine, and her glass jaw strategically is starting to show in the game. Call back to last rant. She doesn't know how to handle rejection. Something tells me she's used to men falling over for her, but these men are a different breed. The game is evolving, and someone didn't let Chelsea know that being a blonde is no longer good enough to make it to the end of the game. You have to actually play hard as well. Not only when you're on the bottom either, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Kira wisely sees Dane do the pretty boy hand signal off the reflection of the mirror and mentions it to Chelsea. My problem with this edit is this episode deserved 2 hours to fully explain what's going on. I mean, did you see some of the jump cuts during the double eviction part of this episode? Terrible. Terrible. They were skipping from A to B so quickly. It was almost like fights were going down and they were trying to cover them up to hide shit. You know, all we really saw was Eddie and Sam go to talk to Adam. We didn't see nobody else's conversation with Adam. Now, are we to assume everyone just said throw up Eddie? I guess. But at the end of the day, though, I thought Adam would play his own game and be his own man. A double eviction is your opportunity to get somebody out and they have no chance to campaign. None. And you chose to go after Eddie? That's a soft move, bro. And now you can't compete in the next HOH comp. All right. And now Dane could fuck around and win the next one again, and then he could go after Sam. So this was his moment. This was his moment. In my opinion, if you're going to get out anybody, why don't you get out Esty? Huh? If I'm Adam, why wouldn't I want Esty gone? Right? Because getting out Esty should, in theory, do exactly what these same guys want to do by getting out Sam. They want to bring Adam closer. So why not go after Esty and bring Dane closer? It's because he made a deal with Dane before this double eviction to not backdoor Esty and not throw her up. But isn't that interesting? Dane contemplated throwing your girl up twice. He even warned you ahead of time to make you win the veto to keep her off. But now, weeks later, you don't remember none of that shit. It's amazing. It's almost like Dane is from the Men in Black. It's almost like he's Tommy Lee Jones in this bitch. And, you know, it's almost like he's him, and he coming through, putting on the shades, and everyone forgets. They all forget. It's like, what is this shit? Man, that's a testament to your game, though, Dane. I'm not going to be a hater tonight, all right? You know, but I'm never a hater. I'm constructive at all times. Now, let's continue. We got no mention of Anthony's strong social game that made Chelsea go after Dane. They aren't showing Esty take this information from Chelsea and completely snitching to Dane either, making me think they did this to protect Esty with the casual fan base. I don't think the casuals like the pretty boys. I think they like Eddie and Damien's side. If they had showed Esty betraying them, Kiki, and Chelsea in that one scene, Esty probably would have been canceled worldwide. That context matters going into this double eviction. And I think production really dropped the ball showing Mark take credit for all of Anthony's hard work, but to then not show the most important moment this week on feeds is disingenuous to the game, in my opinion. But see, this makes me skeptical that that scene with Mark was a last-second addition because of the results of the double eviction. Now, I had a theory, ladies and gentlemen, until I saw Adam win it. When it was in the final three, when it was Mark, Eddie, and Adam, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I thought they put that one scene about Mark wanting to get out Dane in the edit. I thought they put it in there because Mark was guaranteed to win the HOH in the double eviction. I thought it was pretty much telegraphed. So when Mark doesn't win the HOH, I'm confused now why that scene was even there, but y'all can't put none of Anthony's scenes in the damn edit. It's like, huh? And see, that takes away from the credibility of whoever's editing this damn show. Because if you can add that one scene from last night with Chelsea approaching Esty, dang, my light almost hit me. I don't know if y'all saw that. It was in slow motion format, moving in slow motion format. But anyway, but yeah, so at the end of the day, if you can show Mark talking about he wants to get out Dane, why can't you show Anthony in the gameplay he used to completely snow Chelsea? Because they don't want Chelsea to look even worse. Hot take. So if they got to hide what Anthony is doing to make the blonde look better, you know they'll do it because they buried Kaylin to make the blonde look better. Let's be real. Now let's continue. Chelsea and Kira both had boring speeches, but just like Kaylin had it tough being the first black woman to play after Tamar winning, nobody could possibly match what Kaylin did last Thursday with her speech. Vote ends up being a unanimous 9-0 vote. Dane is sure there can't possibly be a battle back because it's only 6 weeks left with 11 people still in the game. So I think that's why Dane was the only one to truly tell Chelsea about the men's alliance and his goodbye message. But notice how nobody else, not even Adam, told her the truth. That shows me Adam thinks that there could be a battle back for pre-jury boots, because otherwise he had nothing to lose with telling her the truth himself. But damn, this is yet another episode where Anthony is getting no visibility. I don't remember even Godfrey being this invisible the first 4 weeks of BBCAN7, and he napped for the entire first month. That tells me a lot about how production feels about Anthony's game. That means they don't even know how to tell the story of his game. I know he's giving confessionals, but that lets me know they don't even know how to tell the story of his game because they want Mark to serve that purpose, right? So they don't want to be, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't want to be repetitive, right? So they are basically choosing not to show Anthony at all instead of showing two guys playing similar. You know what I'm saying? When all they had to do was just show Mark saying that him and Anthony are both playing Mark's game, and that would have kind of gave the casual audience an idea of how Anthony's playing, but then that would have still gave Mark a little bit too much credit because he's saying Anthony is copying his game. When in reality, Anthony's playing his own game. Mark is being a little bit more reckless with his version of that game, and yet Mark is the one that is being chosen by production basically as the chosen one. It's really bizarre, but we're not shocked. As black fans of this game, we're not shocked. But it just goes to show, Anthony, man, you did Kaylin bogus, and you're not even getting the credit you hoped you would get out of it. And that's the saddest part about it, you know, because I'm all about people getting credit where it's due. And that's why I'm still, in an unbiased way, giving Anthony credit where it is due post Kaylin leaving, you know. But at the same time, though, why can't the editors do the same thing? That's the question we need answered. But let's continue. All right. This is yet another episode where Anthony's getting no visibility, and I don't remember Godfrey being this invisible, and he napped for the first month. This shows you Anthony is being railroaded to a degree by production, similar to how Kaylin was in the edit. HOH comp came down to Eddie, Mark, and Adam. Adam pulls off the win on a Kaylin question, and I couldn't believe Eddie got it wrong. It makes sense Adam would get it right because the speech was about Adam, but wow, this season is perishing before our eyes. I thought Mark was going to win it just because he had that weird scene before Chelsea left about wanting Dane out. But I guess that was a misdirection trick by production to fool us, which is very hard to pull off, fooling me. So kudos to them for not being predictable, but giving Mark that scene makes even less sense now to the casual audience with Adam winning the HOH. Adam decides to nominate Eddie and Kiki. This decision makes sense because everyone wants to play Possum Phenom gone. But I don't get why Sam dislikes Eddie so much. Is this just Sam trying to get any guy out before another woman? Because why waste a double eviction on Eddie when Esty clearly is the player that connects Kiki to Dane? The better play was to leave Kiki off and put Esty on, but something tells me Adam is scared of Dane throwing up Sam, so he settled for Kiki here. Kira talks Sam into backdooring a big player. Sam approaches Adam, and he tells her the move might not work, so he won't take the risk. And I thought that was one of the weakest excuses. And shout-outs to Kira for convincing Sam to go up to him and basically tell him, if you don't put up a big target, everyone will assume you're working with the men. Are you okay with that? And Adam's over here bullshitting, oh, there's no guarantee. If I put up a big target, they'll leave over Eddie. Well, then take Eddie the fuck off then. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, no, he couldn't take Eddie off. That's right, because Kiki won veto. Well, at the end of the day, bruh, you mean to tell me if Dane is sitting right there, you mean to tell me you couldn't get at least 4 votes? Well, I guess it would be 8 votes. You mean to tell me you couldn't at least force a 4-4 tie with Dane on the block next to Eddie? Come on, man. Like, really use your brain for a second, y'all. Like, the people who would vote out Eddie, okay, it makes sense, okay? You would have 3 men. You would have 2 men. Okay, because he would have to betray Dane. So it'd be the 2 other men of the Pretty Boys. They may vote to keep Dane. But I think Anthony and Mark just mentioned he wanted Dane gone. So here's the problem with this. If Adam just pulls the fucking trigger, Mark votes out Dane. Now it's only Anthony now on an island voting to keep Dane. I think Anthony jumps on code as soon as he realizes, oh, Adam wants him out. Mark will vote him out. I'll vote him out. That's now 2-0. Okay, yeah, the Youngbloods, they might vote to keep Dane. But I have a feeling Kiki might want Dane gone because of Esty showing loyalty more to Dane the night before. Now all of a sudden that's 3-1. Now all you need is Damian or Corey on board. And let's be real, if one of them are on board, both of them on board. Now all of a sudden it's 5-1. Now all of a sudden you have more than enough votes to get Dane the fuck out of this game. Not saying Dane deserved it, but I know for a damn sure Eddie didn't deserve this. So, you know, I'm just saying at the end of the day, a good move could have happened tonight, and it was very possible to have happened. But Adam got that lemon booty. Got that lemon booty, coach. I ain't mentioned that this season yet, but he got scared. It's just what it is, man. He thought about it and he said, no, if I do this, I might not make jury. I might get clapped back on neck. You know, it's all right, whatever, bro. But it's sad, man. It's sad, man. So Adam decides to throw up Kira and announce her as a pawn in his speech, which basically guaranteed Eddie left the game, but he didn't deserve this. Outside of Chelsea, the pre-jury boots are more likable than the players who made jury, except maybe Damian, Corey, and Kiki. The rest are just unlikable players to a degree. I mean, I think Anthony is likable if you take away what he did to get rid of Kalen. He's likable. And to be honest, the more production kind of railroads him, the more it's easier for me to root for him through all the adversity anyway. So I hope he rises above it, and I hope his edit does start to change. But at the end of the day, I really feel the most bad for the real Big Brother Canada fans out there, man, because at the end of the day, we got railroaded the most from tonight's double eviction episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into answering questions. All right, I think you all are prepared. You're ready. Please let me know who won the new HOH if a new one has been crowned on feeds. You know, for the past couple of hours, I've been talking to y'all, so I don't know what's going on. So please fill me in, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get it popping. Oh, dang, Ghost had a question on that, coach. All right, Sam is the HOH, and they have seen the lounge. Mark is telling Dane that his girl has to go. They have some spinning to do. Oh, shit. So Sam is going after the men. Mark thinks he's gotten close enough to Sam to know exactly how she's thinking, so he knows she's most likely going to go after probably Dane and Anthony. I think that's the move she has to pull because she's closer to Mark and she's not putting up Adam. This could easily be the week where everyone chooses for no reason to keep Dane over Anthony, and it doesn't make any sense. This could be it, y'all. This could be terrifying. This could be terrifying for Anthony because he has got no visibility in the edit. Then if he somehow goes home a week from now, doesn't make jury. Now, I don't know if everyone left in the game as of right now are jury or not. It's 11 people left. Yes, 11 people left right now. So I don't know if this is the jury right now or they're waiting for a few more boots. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, this is very scary for Anthony's game specifically now that Sam has won this. Because Sam is talking, she has talked to Kiki and Estefania. She's not going after them. She's not going to waste an HOH on Kira because she promised Chelsea she would do something for all women. So that means Corey's off limits too. Okay? So that means, and Eddie's gone. The only people that could possibly go up are probably Anthony and Dane, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, who else could possibly go up? I can't think of who else could go up. Can y'all think of anyone else? Oh, Adam is saying Kiki might go. What? Oh, my. If Sam makes a girl be a pawn this week just to avoid the smoke from all men, when her man is one of the men who have been lying to her about working with all the men and just sent Eddie home because he proved to her he was working with the men, Sam is canceled just like Chelsea was. It'll be the same exact fucking HOH. I can't sit through more deja vu, man. I need some good player. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on good gameplay. But at the end of the day, I need someone good to go to wake everyone good up to their own win conditions, man. All of this summer camp bullshit we tired of, man. Play the game. Pivot. Show them your triple threat, coach. I'm just saying. Yeah, Adam is trying to deflect. I can't wait to jump on these feeds, man. Y'all talking right now like it's litty. Johnny says, is there any point in watching this season still? We already know Adam is going to get the blood veto. Wait, what? Adam got the blood veto? Hold up. Wait. Can y'all confirm this for me? Adam has the blood veto? Or is this Johnny just being in his conspiracy theory bag because he know RBR go co-sign that because it sounds believable right now? Someone confirm that for me. Sam put up Tony and Dane. But, well, Big Cece Banana, that's what I think she's going to do. That's what I think. I think she's going to put up Champagne Tone and Dane. I don't think there's any chance Adam can convince her to throw up a woman when he just made a beta male double eviction play for the back door to put up Kira again. I don't think there's any way he can talk her into doing that, man. I think Kira deserves a week off the block. I think Kiki deserves a week off the block. I think all the women deserve a week to be able to play the fucking game. And I think the men deserve a week to have 2 of these 4 on the block to force all of them to contemplate turning on each other. That's the only way Fee's going to be good. So I'm glad Sam has won HOH. I'm glad, but I just wish he would have won the double eviction HOH first. I would have been better. I would have been actually happier if this was flipped, actually. I would have been happier if Sam, in hindsight, because Sam wanted that big move to happen, I would have preferred her to win it. But you know what? We can't have nice things all the time, so we need to take what we can get right now. We need to take what we get. But yeah, I agree with you. Okay. Ghost says no, he doesn't have the blood video. Thank you. So that was Johnny just being on the conspiracy theory side of the game. I feel you, Johnny. But yeah, exactly, CM. She wants Anthony. I knew it. I knew it, y'all. I knew it. Something wasn't right. Anthony was playing too good for his own good. See, what made Tamar's game so good, she constantly showed you her flaws. But she did it on purpose to lower her threat level. Man, it's crazy, man. Tamar's game. I want to go back and watch Celebrity Big Brother US Season 2. I'm going to give it more time, more space, but I want to go back and watch that now knowing Tamar won. But anyway, let's keep talking about this season, though. I hope there was a battle back. Miss Marlena, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I wish there was a battle back as well, but let's be real. Kaylin has already liked some of my tweets, so I know she's out of the game. She's taking a picture with Andrew Miller, brother Drew. So at the end of the day, we know she's completely out of the game at this point. I highly doubt they would allow her to be in contact with other former house guests of Big Brother Canada if she wasn't fully out of the game and at home with her lovely family. So unfortunately, we won't be getting Kaylin back, but it's also good because we don't want her back with this toxic environment. We want her to get another fair shake of it with a whole bunch of other all-stars who can respect her gameplay. So that's my answer to that. Ghost asked the question, what do you think the blood veto is and who do you think will win the blood veto? I'm starting to each day that goes by, I think Corey is going to win it. And I think it would be beautiful if she won it. This was one of the reasons why I wanted the public vote to go to Corey to get it. Not to get that, but to get to spy on people, because I wanted 2 people to know about the Leon's Lounge ahead of time. But now that everyone knows about its existence, blood veto must be in play very soon. So it's going to be interesting, man. 7-person jury this year, like last year. I'm not sure about that banana. I'm not sure. But damn, Anthony, damn, bro, damn. Ooh, man. He said, why can't he keep his tooth in? He said he can't listen to David Feast and say, y'all funny, man. All right, I'm scrolling up to see if I missed some questions. Hold up real quick, coach. Esty and Corey are in the BV room. What's BV? BV room. What the hell's the BV room? Well, anyway, making sure Adam don't figure it out. LOL. Miles Cage asked the question, how is this season so far? Miles Cage, I'm going to be honest with you. Tons of potential at the start, but slowly but surely, it is starting to give us Big Brother US PTSD. And when I say Big Brother US, I mean standard Big Brother US PTSD. I don't mean celebrity Big Brother US. I mean just standard Big Brother US PTSD. I mean, sheesh. I mean, whew, so predictable. I mean, nobody wants to make a big move when they have power except the men. I mean, it's just crazy, man. Thank you, Miss Selena, for the happy birthday wish. I truly appreciate it. You are a mighty mod, and you are a mighty human being. I truly appreciate it, Miss Selena. I will definitely turn up and take a shot for you and put one in the air for you tonight at midnight. Guaranteed, Coach. Guaranteed. I appreciate the love. Alexander Vinegar asked the question, what's your thoughts on Damien? I'm not sure I've seen this name before, so welcome to the channel, my good sir. My thoughts on Damien is, at the beginning of the game, I thought he was a flop. I'm going to be honest with you. As time went along, I started to see that Damien reminds me a lot of BB18 Paul. What I mean by that is he reminds me of a guy who started the game off not understanding anything, and as time went on, he kept getting better and better at it. Eventually, he started learning how to know the true fans of the game. I think Damien, the great thing he has going for them is everyone knows he didn't know the game to start. So he can always play up what little he doesn't know. He can always act like he's not thinking about anything. Every time someone asks him, what you're thinking about? He can always say, oh, I'm thinking about people at home. When in reality, he could be thinking about strategy. Little subtle things like that let me know he's evolving as a player each day. And I like his spirit. I like how positive he is all the time. I like the moment that changed the way I viewed Damian, I'm going to be honest with y'all, was the moment he took Mackey's power vacuum and he started playing them damn drums with that upside down bowl and that upside down pot. That was when I know, oh shit, there's more to this guy. There's more to this guy. That was the minute I knew there's more to this guy. Okay. And that was the moment I realized, wait a minute. I might have to reassess some things. And it's where I admit I'm wrong about somebody. So Damian has to be an extraordinary individual for me to admit this much. But yes, I was wrong about him specifically. And frankly, I'm impressed with his game so far. And I like that all of the people he gets close to are likable people. Damian, when you're a good person, you tend to only attract good people. I'm not saying the men aren't good people outside of the game. They very well could be, but their tactics are a bit dirty on occasion, whereas Damian doesn't really ever contemplate ever playing it dirty, you know? And another great thing Damian has going for him is the men actually want to include him on conversations. They want them boys' night out, them boys' talks. But the only problem I have with that is the boys saw no value in Mackey having those conversations with them. They were so threatened by Mackey because he tried in competitions. But Mackey didn't understand the game the same way Damian didn't understand the game. So I don't have no problem with Damian specifically. I have a problem with the men in the Pretty Boys Alliance for selectively acting like, oh, Damian, he was a former pro athlete, but you know what? He's not that much of a threat to us. But Mackey, the guy who tries to beat us because he's a competitor, we can't let him stay. We'll allow a shadow. We'll allow someone who walks into every room and ruins conversations for all of the feedsters. We're going to allow this person to play the game for another few weeks just because we can't bear the thought of having to compete. And that's my problem. But to get back to Damian, though, I have really nothing negative to say about his game. I like his social gameplay. I think it's a bit Teflon, to be honest with you. If he was only a super fan of the game, I think he would have some Jason Guy upside. I know that's a little unspeakable. It's a little unheard of, but I think his social game's a little Jason Guy-ish. No one dislikes him. No one. Do you know how hard that is? Now, I know people can argue, well, Anthony, no one dislikes Anthony, but Anthony's own alliance are starting to paint the picture that he needs to go. You feel me? So, I mean, if your alliance is doing that to you behind the scenes, I mean, even Kiki and Estefania have gone out of their way to, as soon as they heard Damian was having private meetings with the men, they immediately shot that shit down. That's loyalty. That's loyalty. That's instant loyalty. That's like instant oatmeal. You feel me? That's instant loyalty. Just put it in the microwave, add some water. That's loyalty right there, right? But Anthony not getting that same loyalty back from the guys. And he's doing a bad job of telling them everything he's doing for them. But he's not holding none of it in. He's not holding any of his cards to his chest with the men so that way they can't paint him to be the guy that has to go. And so that's the thing. They say, we got to work hard to get Sam not to do it. But at the end of the day, Sam is privy to too much information. And she knows y'all ain't shit. And at the end of the day, getting rid of just one of the men ensures her and Adam have a higher chance of making the finals by exponentially. I think if you get rid of at least one pretty boy this week, Sam, your chances of either you or Adam being in the final two goes up at least 20%. And that's because at the end of the day, once one pretty boy goes, everyone now has the courage to continue it, right? It's like they say, the pagonging, as Rob Sister Nino would say, where you just keep targeting the people part of the same alliance because it's the easy decision to make. And see, here's the thing. If Anthony's on the block, and see, I mentioned this before I knew who was HOH, so y'all know I'm just a savvy notes taker. But what did I say earlier? I said specifically that Anthony needs to be careful because his gameplay style might not be able to be the same when he's on the block, and someone might make him a pawn, right, to make him build a target on himself and make people mention his game more. Now, all of a sudden, Sam wins HOH. Now it seems like Dane and Anthony, it seems like Anthony is the ideal pawn. It seems Dane is the ideal person you would want gone first. And Anthony looks a bit screwed. I'm hoping he can find his way out of this. But see, here's the problem. What does Anthony do here? He's almost forced to beat Dane out for the veto because if Dane comes off, Anthony leaves. She's not going to throw a Mark in all likelihood. She's probably going to throw up someone who is a pawn. But at the end of the day, she pretty much has to force Mark to go up as the pawn because she can't risk another guy being the pawn that isn't one of the pretty boys. She can't put Damian up there. And Eddie's gone. And let's be real. If Eddie was sitting next to Dane probably stays over Eddie because Esty is too stupid. So this is a unique situation here where you have to put up Dane next to Anthony. And if Dane comes off, you have to put up Mark next to Anthony. And you just have to let the house decide on who they want to keep. I think Esty and Kiki, I think they keep Anthony because they prefer him. But the question is, who does Dane keep? I think he keeps Mark. Because Mark is the one he created that Final Four alliance with Esty and Kiki with. You see what I'm saying? So this is going to be an interesting week now. I'm actually glad Sam won it in hindsight. I just don't like the idea of her and Adam double tapping, but it is what it is. It is what it is, Coach. I saw some people say happy birthday to me, so I want to give him a shout out. Thank you, Mr. Miles Cage. Thank you, Miss Marlena. I appreciate you, Coach. Yeah, yes, Miss Marlena. I mentioned it at the beginning of the rant. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but Selena came through. Oh, BV means blood veto. My fault, Ghost. My fault. You know what I'm saying? All right, Rod asked the question, Dave, do you think Sam will stick to her potential noms or be swayed by Adam to make the easy choice? I think if anyone sways her, it's production. Uh-oh. Let's be real. Production loves themselves some pretty boys, man. They've given them two different wallpaper shots. You know what I'm saying? You know when you at the club and you with your homie and shit, and before y'all even start macking on the ladies, y'all take that one pic, and then when y'all drunk and wasted, y'all might take the before and after pic, so y'all take the other pic on your way out the club. That's basically what they doing for the pretty boys. They're giving them these photo ops. You know, it's almost like they're celebrating their victory before it happened. This is like the Super Bowl shuffle of strategy. Like, they love these guys. And we would love nothing more than for them to crash and burn, wouldn't we? But damn, I don't want I don't want Anthony to be the first one to burn for it. I mean, damn, man. I just, this is what I was worried about, man. But you reap what you sow in this game. See, this is why I said what I said when Kaylin was the one being targeted. This is why I was so emphatic with why I had a problem with Anthony, why I had a problem with Chelsea, because these were two players who could have benefited amazingly from Kaylin's gameplay. Kaylin would have been the person everyone blames for everything, which would allow Anthony to lay low even more. But see, the problem was Chelsea was trying to connect the dots that both black people were working together when she could have been the one who were working with both black players and was acting like they never were working together to help her own game. We can't have nice things, man. Thank you, BMG. I appreciate you, my good sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for the happy birthday wish. Thank you, Ms. Game 2. I appreciate you as well. Okay, I already answered that question. BMG asked the question, Dave, will production have to burn the HOH bedroom sheets after this week? Oh, yeah, I think a baby gonna be made tonight. If not tonight, this week, a baby will be made, Coach. Now, I ain't talking strategy when I say you gonna need a plan B. Thanos. Let me stop though. I'm a fool with the snow, Coach. Let me see. Will production? Okay, no, that's already done. Okay. Caitlin says we'll find out all of the blood veto details on Sunday night, and that's when the vote, if there is one, will happen. The real question is, how many weeks should they have to use the blood veto? That's a great question, Caitlin. I think if the blood veto goes to someone production likes, that shit gonna be like lifeguard Jesus' power. You get that shit for 60 days, Coach. You feel it? Everybody else's expires in 24 seconds, like it's Mission Impossible on the Ethan Hunt side of the game. But if it's Tyler, you know what? This can last half the game, Coach. We gotta ensure our win conditions too as production. Facts though, but I'm being comical at the moment. But y'all know that low key is how they get shit done, though. But I don't know. I don't know. I hope the blood veto doesn't last more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks at tops. I think that's fair. I don't think anything should last more than, and nothing should last a month. That's my opinion. Because the shorter you make it last, the more you incentivize them to use it, right? Like, even if you got to use it just to say you used it, you know, I think it builds such a great case for you just for using it. And see, this is the difference between Survivor and Big Brother. Big Brother, a player will not use a power at all because they don't have to. Survivor, a player will use a veto that they can't use past Final 5. They will use that shit on somebody just to guarantee they're at the Final 4 with someone they know would vote to keep them around. You know, I feel like people on Survivor are more willing to use their twists on other people. Big Brother, people are a little bit more safeguarded, if you will. And I think that's because of the close contact, the close proximity of the players. I think they really get more tired of each other in Big Brother than Survivor because they actually have to live with each other, smell each other's poo, all that other shit. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Survivor, you could go somewhere in the ocean and do the aqua dump and we don't smell a damn thing, Coach. The fish don't appreciate it, but our noses do. Let me stop, man. Let me stop, coach. Let me stop. I'm bullshit. Shout outs to Ghost. Thank you, my good sir. Thank you, Jay Griff. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Y'all know I'm fooling tonight. I mean, why not, coach? Lisa E, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Okay, Marlena asked me early prediction for Final Four and why. All right, I got to take in this week into context. I think somehow, some way, Anthony's going to find a way to get to be eliminated this week over Dane. Whether that means Dane is saved, whether that means Dane wins veto himself, whether that means Adam wins veto and has to choose between who he saves. Now that's when things could get really messy. What if Adam chooses to take off Dane, tells Anthony, hey, I'm going to get Sam to throw up Kiki, or I'm going to get her to throw up Esty, and it's going to save all the guys. Then all of a sudden, all the guys vote out Anthony because he talks too well. Oh, man. Woo, boy, I would love to be at the after show after party if they betrayed Anthony like that, coach. Me and Andrew Miller would have to restrain, brother. We would have to restrain him because that would be grimier than grimy. But of course, I'm not trying to speak that into existence. I don't want to see the brother get embarrassed to that degree. But at the same time, though, it's hard, man. It's really hard because in the back of my mind, I can't help but notice that there's so many players that didn't know how to utilize Kalen correctly. And here I am, a guy who sees the purpose Kalen can serve to making someone's gameplay Teflon, and no one else sees it. And it's so frustrating because I think, like, what if I was playing a game and they just automatically just dismissed what I was doing that quickly, when in reality, I'm playing a game that helps the majority of the people who ain't controlling shit, and yet the people who ain't controlling shit, they just want to be the token second to last person in their alliance, as long as they ain't the last one. It's like, bro, what is you doing? You feel it, Demi? But my Final Four prediction, Miss Marlene, I've already made one, but because of the context we've been provided with now with Eddie and Chelsea both leaving, and with the fact that Dane and Anthony are both going to probably be thrown up, I'm going to say my Final Four now. I think Corey makes the Final Four now. I think there's way too much smoke to. I think Corey, Damian, call me crazy. I think Corey, Damian, Mark, and Sam. I could see that. Because now I'm being let down by so many players making terrible plays for their own win conditions that at this point, Corey's in the best position. No, matter of fact, no, Kira will make the end. Hold on. So Kira, Corey, Damian, and I think Mark. I think Cora, Kira, Damian, and Mark. I think those four will be at the end. Because the way this game is setting up, Kiki and Esty are going to go after Sam. Sam's going to go after the men. Adam's going to be in trouble if Sam goes after the men, because the men are going to look at Adam as someone who couldn't control his woman, and Adam will be guilty by association, which could lead to whoever gets sent home airing out Adam's game and Sam's game, or airing out the men's game for not saving them over the other guy that's sitting next to them. I mean, there's a lot of ways this could go, but if I had to give you a Final Four prediction as of right now, without watching any feeds, post Sam winning HOH, yeah, I'm going with Kira, Mark, Damian, Corey. That's my Final Four right now. I think that Final Four, it's built up in the narrative to be the Final Four, if I'm being honest, as of right now. That's gonna be my prediction, coach. Okay, Rod asked the question, Dave, do you think Esty would fall on the sword and win POV and save Dane for the block? Man, I think she would. Because I think in the back of her mind, she wouldn't want Anthony and Dane to be one of those two to be guaranteed to leave. So using the veto on Dane, it at least guarantees there's a chance Anthony and Dane could go into next week. And if she had it her way, she would be like in the final five with Anthony and Dane. So my thoughts on this is absolutely she would use the veto on Dane, take him off. It saves her. But doesn't that open up Kiki to be the back door? I think Esty would almost be scared to not take off Dane. She would need some type of a reinsurance. Kiki wouldn't go up. But based off what she did last night, that basically threw Kiki under the bus to Dane. There's no guarantee Dane won't throw Esty under the bus if she doesn't save him. See, oh, this is complicated. This isn't simple no more. Dare I say, Sam may have saved this season. I never thought I would say that out loud. Sam may have saved this season, coach. Excuse me. Sam may have saved this season. I got to be honest, because the more I think about it, as long as she guarantees one pretty boy goes home, no pretty boy could win this season. But you got to guarantee one of them don't make jury. You got to make sure there's not 4 in the jury. Because if there's only 7 jury members and half of them are pretty boys, shit, all one pretty boy got to do is make the end and he get 3 votes. He just need 1 more and he win the game. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, Sam, you got to do what you got to do, coach. And honestly, after Esty flopped the way she did, Sam, you might gain all the fans that Esty lost. And you might actually get me apologizing. You might get me actually admitting I was wrong. But I was the one who said Sam was a better player than Chelsea, though. Let's be real, though. I did say that early. So it ain't like I didn't expect Sam to grow a pair of ovaries. I just knew Chelsea wouldn't. You feel it, dig me? But yeah, so damn, man, this light is trying to kill the kid, man. I swear this is like Hitman or something. Boy, talking my shadow. All right, let me stop, man. Let me stop. Can you rant on Sunday in a suit and tie? I want to feel like I'm at church. You a damn fool. Y'all know me. No, man, I ain't gonna do that, man. It'd be too hot with these lights on me, man. It'd be too damn hot. But do you guys have any more questions? Because I will get out your hair and I will get to my birthday. You feel it, me, coach? You know I'm ready to turn up. But, you know, I would definitely love to answer all questions you all may have. But because Sam is the new HOH, I understand it if you really don't have many questions yet. And we can definitely get into those questions on Thursday. So I'm going to give y'all a few more seconds. You haven't said what you thought about the blood veto, what it actually does. Oh, okay, bet, Ghost. Yeah, I'm not gonna anger my mods. No. Thanos knows better than to do that. But thank you, Rod. Thank you, CM. I appreciate it. I got you, Ghost. I got you, BMG. I think the blood veto is probably gonna be like the diamond power veto. I think it's gonna be a situation where you get to take off both nominees and replace both nominees. I think that's what it's gonna be. Because with a name like Blood Veto, like this gotta be like the kill shot. You know, you can't call something blood. Like I don't know if any of y'all ever played what's the game I'm thinking of? Not Fatal Fury. Capcom vs SNK, right? There was a character on the on the game. My homeboy Stacy would love me bringing up a fighting game right now. His name was Terry Bogard. Oh, no. His move was called Buster Knuckle, not Bloody Knuckle. Never mind. That doesn't back up my argument. Anyway, when you put blood as the prefix before something, it usually means you want the smoke. It usually means you finna fuck something up, coach. It's finna be some cataclysmic strategic action popping off, okay? So I feel like you name it the blood veto, it's gotta be strong, man. It's gotta be something that can take somebody out of commission. So what I'm hoping it is, I hope it isn't too overpowered because I can see them rigging it to one of their faves if it's too overpowered. But I would love it to be something where, yeah, maybe you don't get to replace all the noms, but at least you get to take off both noms and make them safe and force the HOH to get more blood on it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's called the blood veto because it forces the HOH to get more blood on their hands, twice as much blood. So I'm going to go with that. You can take off the 2 nominees, but you can't replace them. And then that puts all of the blood on the replacements on the HOH. That's what I'm going to go with. That's what I think the blood veto is, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, I believe this is my 10th rant. I could be off. Is this my 9th or my 10th? I'm not sure. Of Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, entitled Anti-Climactic Tactics. I have all of you ready for the impending Sam HOH and for all the smoke she will bring to the table, coach. Who do you all think that she will nominate? Right now, I'm going with Anthony and Dane. And I think for the backdoor choice, I think she's forced to have to throw up Mark here. I think she has to ensure one of these men go home. So that's going to be what I go for here. It'll be very interesting to see. Will Anthony fight as hard as he possibly can, or will he continuously play down how strong he is and risk his own game by not beating out Dane for the veto? Because let's be real, if he beats out Dane for the veto, now he's no longer this low-key player. But to be fair, once you're nominated once, the excuse to keep nominating you always comes around, and that kind of makes it so he has to show his true cards now. So he's in limbo right now. You know, it's almost you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And if I'm Anthony, I'd be really worried about sitting next to Mark as well, because you've told Mark way too much information that he can campaign against you with. So I think he's almost forced to win this veto over Dane. That way Mark has to campaign against Dane and let them ruin each other's games. So that's my prediction, ladies and gentlemen, for the next few days. I will see you all on Sunday night. Special thank you to everyone who has wished me happy birthday tonight. Y'all have no idea how much I appreciate it. If you could, please like, share, and subscribe. And on the right side of my channel's page, click on that bell. That way you could be here with the most lit live chat in Big Brother Canada 7 history, bar none. I'm Dave Smith. This is Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. And you'll never walk alone. I'm out. Deuces.